Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Italy. Welcome to Simoncelli, and welcome to the Misano World Circuit. Absolutely wonderful to be returning to a circuit that has all the highs and lows and turns drivers completely on their head. My name is Stephen Koenig, and welcome to the EG Evolved GT3 Championship, powered by RaceFace. And we're in for an absolute great one, because this is round 4 of our calendar, and that is where we're going to be kicking off with tonight's racing. As we'll just quickly run through the points, it's Henry Mayer out in first place on 150 points, 156 points in first place. Christoph Peterson lies in second place on 124 points. Daniel De Villiers lies on 102 points in third place. Jason Farmer holds fourth on 84, 2 points ahead of Bego Krobler in fifth. And sixth place is the birthday boy himself, believe it or not, Fleming Bauer. Happy birthday from RaceFace.Pro and EG Evolved. He lies in sixth place on 78 points. Gerrit Bukes lies in seventh on 70 points. 65 points is Jason Abschmeyer, rounding out from Ruin Heineke. And Jean Rader Toy is our top 10 in our Pro division. Moving on to our Pro-Am, we have got Rian van der Race, who leads out the pack on 128 points. Sean Herrera on 103. Reginald Montaleni fighting to keep himself in championship condition, sits on 101. Gerard Pretorius on 91 points, followed by Keegan Bowen with 84 points, ahead, 4 points ahead of Anton Lummers, who's on 80, who's 1 point ahead of Chris Beermister. Conrad Martins in 8th place on 76 points, and he has got Ulrich Diaga chasing him down on 74 points. And rounding out our top 10 for our Pro-Am is Johan Verveers with 71 points. This is where we're going to have a rather interesting time, as the drivers are going to be battling around a circuit that was open. Well, ground was broken in 1970, but in the early 2000s, going back to 2006, was mainly where it got its whole hype, going and hosting a lot of the SBK Championship, the World Motorcycle Championship, before moving on to having the clearance for racing GT cars to go around, and is famous for the final corner of Curva Misano that landed up changing the GT Cup European Open on its head and the International GT Open. But that being said, tonight it is home to RaceFace.Pro. It is home to the EG Evolved, and we are going to be having a stellar time. Qualifying is underway, and let's go down to Tim on our cameras. So as Tim brings us some of the beautiful shots coming through, I'll just get everything out. I'm trying to get some of the riff-raff off the screen. Thank you, Tim. Come on, you can do a little bit better than that, Tim. We believe in you, Tim. We got Jim, who will be on our flag marshal. We've got Jim and Tim, who will be keeping us in action here tonight at RaceFace.Pro. So we come down to the circuit, and there we go. That looks far better to deal with, far better to look at, and our drivers putting in their times. Now, they have got 15 minutes to make it work for them. Henry Mayer at the top of the board sits with a 133.212. The birthday boy himself, Fleming Bauer, holds second place, utilizing the slipstream. 0.3 off his teammate with a 133.5. Daniel De Villiers up into third place in the Nissan GTR, as Nicholas Manuel on for a good drive is currently holding fourth place on 134.1. Jason Abschmeyer down in fifth place. Bego Krobler down in sixth. Seventh place is Kerry Funzel. Neil Swartz is holding 8th. 9th is Mordred Klaassen, and Run for the Vault trying to chase him down in that top 10. Now, first of our Pro-Ams, however, goes to Gerard Pretorius, who is fighting incredibly hard for the Griffin Sim Racing team, just to be beaten up by Rian van der Race, who puts himself a little bit up, and Herman Wettner goes and puts himself into first place. So a quick change coming in for our Pro-Am drivers as they look to fight their way to the top. That being said, you will also note there's a couple of drivers missing from the grid, and that is going to be the likes of Gerrit Bukes, who will not be heading out onto the circuit. Does have a quali ban, so he's in the naughty corner, but don't count him out. He's going to be fighting out for the Stingers Racing, and they don't know when to quit. They will keep going. So, as times start flooding on the board, drivers try to put the hammer down a little bit more. Henry Mayer currently is the fastest out on circuit with a 133.212. He's going to have to try and make it work out in his favor. He's 0.1 up on everyone at the moment. The Panassi driver continues to try and figure out how he can go and push that a little bit more, but 0.025 is Fleming Bauer, the birthday boy himself, going and having a bit of luck there. Maybe blew an extra candle out, saying, I want the race win here tonight. And he's going to be fighting with his teammate, Nicholas Manuel, a little bit further down with Jason Abschmeyer in that 4th place. A massive welcome to everyone else in the virtual grandstands. Good to see everyone out there. We've got the likes of Blender, good to have him there, Aaron Belder, along with Antonio Gamble. Stingers Racing always coming in for the bit of fun. Likes of Jan Fenter coming to enjoy the racing as well. Good to see them out there. Erna Sundberg's out for the Fear the Bones driver in 6th place, trying to pick up the pace. He did finish up the ERA Sunday Championship last week, finishing up in 3rd place, right behind Ben Hicks and Christoph Peterson, who is fighting for the championship here at RaceFace.Pro. So it's always good to see him coming out and joining, and nice to have our international drivers being out on the circuit. Here is Christoph Peterson, Logistical Nightmare Racing Fear the Bones driver, back out in the Honda NSX and giving it everything he can to really dial it in, to try get that little bit more pace and to be fighting at the top. Fleming Bauer currently the fastest through Sector 1 and Sector 2, trying to get ahead of Henry Mayer. Can he get it done, however? 0.1 is needed to get ahead of Henry Mayer. It's going to be an absolute chase. Bego Krobler going and trying his luck, but Daniel de Villiers pips him in 3rd place. Bego Krobler was racing last night for the Team Wolf, had a stellar run in the GT3 class of the Le Mans Ultimate Championship, and now trying to fight it out yet again in the ACC. Balancing 2 sims at the moment, not an easy feat, and in 2 different cars. He drives a Mercedes last night, jumping into the Ferrari 296 here tonight. So the Team Wolf driver is really burning the candle at both ends to ensure he can stay in fighting condition. Nicholas Manuel down in 6th, trying to get a little bit more pace underneath to get ahead of Jason Abschmeyer as he continues on his stellar run. It is Herman Wepner, however, that leads out our Pro-Am field, and still to continue on the charge. Bego Krobler, 0.2 up on his personal best. He chases down one of our BMWs ahead of him. Oh, late on the brakes, goes out a bit wide. That's going to be a problem, and unfortunately does throw him offline. Unfortunately, taking out that fast lap he was aiming for. Has to sit behind the 75 car of Ulrich de Jager, who will keep the hammer down. Now, Ulrich de Jager also has been playing in multiple different championships. This time out in a BMW, has been quite consistent in a McLaren and a Ferrari. It's good to see him trying out something new in terms of the BMW M4 GT3. Christoph Peterson up into 4th place. Looks to be a top contender at the moment with that Honda NSX. Dialing in the car a little bit more and having a chat to both Christoph Peterson and Ernest Lindbergs. Both going and saying the driving style for the cars is working really well. The tires seem to be lasting a lot longer than they expect, and that's going to be helping them out during the course of the race. So don't count them out as yet. But we also had a BOP change as Herman Wipner goes and puts himself into the dirt, and that gives himself a bit of BOP, added weight, and unfortunately taking out that lap. So we did have a BOP change on the cars for the drivers to deal with, and a BOP is a balance of performance, so it depends on power, and they work on restrictors and weights put into the car to make sure the grid is perfectly in line with one another, and you don't have those meta cars, we like to call them, going and standing at the sharp end of the field. Otherwise, we'll have a one-make series of all Ferraris going and racing around for the entirety of the season. Nice having the BOP, which means we can have the Nissan GTR of Daniel de Villiers fighting out against the Ferrari 296s, fighting it against the Ford Mustangs, and so on and so on. But it's good to have them out here for the EG Evolved GT3 Championship powered by RaceFace. But we've got 5 minutes left on the board for qualifying. Ernest Simbergs gets himself up into 5th place ahead of Bego Krobler, as we do take a look at Jason Farmer, currently 0.5 up on his personal best, chasing down that Nissan GTR as fast as he can to try and make it work. Now, we do know Daniel de Villiers is incredibly quick. He's going to help pull Jason Farmer along a little bit higher, up from 16th. He does get himself into the top 10 and will be happy with that one. At the moment, how long can he hold on? That is going to be the question. Neil Swartz hoping to keep the power on for the Stingers Racing, trying out something a little bit new. Tighter lines, a car that is not more for straight line, going and relying a lot on the mechanical grip and also flattening out that rear, lifting the rear wing, to try and get a little bit more downforce on to see if he can get better acceleration out of the car. Sacrificing some of the longevity of the rear tires, but he's hoping to go and make it work out a little bit better. Taking a look to our granddads, we got Derek Bakum going and cheering on for the Team Wolf, and we have got the man, the myth, the legend himself, one of our voices of South African sim racing motorsport. It is the likes of Alan Patson, the head of PWSR, keeping an eye on Daniel de Villiers and Thriller Miller of Darren Miller in the Lamborghini, going and looking to fight their way through the PWSR team. Then on a stellar drive, also going and trying out different sims. So they've also been playing around, enjoying and seeing how it's going to work out. Daniel de Villiers still on for a good drive. Unfortunately, did go over the mark and will have an invalidated time this time round. Hopefully, can put the power down for it all work out in his favor. Also, a good run for Tiernas Buerta. 0.1 up on his personal best. Also, Benjamin Till finding out in 27th position with 0.3 up on his personal time. He's hoping to get a little bit more pace. Milestone just lies behind him in 28th position. Also, another championship winner. Came second place in the ERA Sunday Championship this past Sunday and looking to carry some of that motivation across. Henry Mayer puts a fast lap time on the board. Unfortunately, not much for a couple of other drivers, just putting the wheel wrong and losing that little bit of time. So Beggar Krobler currently 0.2 up on his personal best. He lies in 6th with a 133.6. He's hoping to get into the top 5. He's got to beat Ernest Lindbergh's time of a 133.5 and will get a little bit closer. Daniel de Villiers, who did a similar lap time, 133.502 over Lindbergh's with a 133.505. So very, very close between those two. However, this is going to be an interesting run for Beggar Krobler because he's kept the pace all the way through. Is it going to be a good run for him as he goes through the final sector? It's flat out through the right-hander. Then you got to gently come down the gears, get yourself sorted for the double apex. Over the curb, don't want to take too much, but you can attack it pretty hard. Swings the car in, up on his time, 0.5. Is this going to work out as he heads towards our final corner? Going to go through the left-hander, nice and tight, flat on the gas, a little bit of trail braking, and powers his way through. 0.3 up on his time, does get across the line, and does put himself into 3rd place. Fleming Power, currently 0.1 up on his personal best. Henry Mayer will be next to come across the line. He's currently the fastest on circuit and will be setting yet another quick lap time of a 132.740. Fleming Bauer, the birthday boy himself, trying to chase him down with a 133.1. Currently 0.1 up on his personal best, hoping to really give it horns. At the moment, Darren Miller fighting the Raging Bull, the GT3 Hurricane Evo, as he keeps the power down, 0.3 up on his personal time. Is this going to be a good one to get him into the top 10? He's going to have to fight it out, though. He really stands on the gas on the exit, does come across the line from 20th, and does bump himself up into 15th. Thriller Miller out there on a charge and making sure that he can keep going. Everyone set a time, bar one driver that has a qualifying ban, and that is Gerard Bucas, who will be starting down in last position, hoping to really pick up the pace. Christoph Peterson in the Honda NSX, trying to get the hammer down through the left-hander, up 0.1 of a second. He's trying to get a bit closer to Beggar Krobler. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the case this time around. Does come across the line and actually does do better than Bago. Christoph Peterson puts himself into 3rd place with a 133.277. So clawed out just enough to get ahead of Beggar Krobler with a 133.287. So very, very close in times, But qualifying is over. You cross the line now. That is it for your time. And I do see a variety of drivers, like Jared Bakum for the Team Wolf, has gone and crossed the line. He will hold 25th position. Run for the Vault. Currently 0.2 up on his personal best, trying to get the hammer down. Benjamin Till, 0.2 up on his time. And Miles Stone, really trying to put the hammer down in the Aston Martin. Is it going to work out? 0.4 up on his personal best. Will he get into the top 20? Does come across the line and puts himself squarely into 23rd. Vessel Loader going to be also stretching the limits of what he can do. Incredibly quick driver. Had some good results during the course of the season. 0.4 up on his personal best. Comes across the line from 34th into 27th. Some good times being put out there. Couple of drivers still yet to cross the line. Christoph Peterson, 0.1 up on his personal best. He wants to get a little bit closer to Fleming Bauer. The 133.1 to beat. Peterson did a 133.2. Can he make this work out in his favor? Rounding the final corner, out a little bit wide. And unfortunately, going and just invalidating as he came across. What a challenge, what a time. And ladies and gentlemen, we got so much happening here at Misano, but we cannot forget a big special happening this month from EG Evolved. 10% off the EGR Sim Rigs. EGR aluminium rigs only. If you use the discount code SPRING10, you get 10% off your aluminium extrusion rigs. Absolutely great stuff. If you're wanting to have a great start to your sim racing career, or you're a pro and you want to just get something a little bit more sorted out, a sturdy base is always the great way to go. And with the incorporation of building on your monitor mounts or having it separate, it's up to you. You have a variety of add-ons to get yourself sorted. So head over to www.egsimrigs.co.za and get this amazing special Spring 10 before it ends on the 30th of September. So much is going on, so much is happening, and a massive, massive thank you to our title sponsor, EG Evolved, for jumping on board with us tonight and for the rest of the season. But enough with that, enough with the jargon, enough sounding like I'm going and trying to be something on TV that you usually watch with a very marked ad. Let's take a look at our grid, because the drivers are lining up and getting ready to go, and it's going to be a wild one. So, if you're just joining us for the first time, a massive welcome to you. If you're joining us a little bit later, a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to having you around at the beautiful track of Misano, right here at Italy. And we're in for an incredible, incredible race. We have got our pros, which are the white bordered numbers, and our pro-ams, which are the red borders. So Herman Wepner will be leading the pro-ams on the start. Drivers are going to be getting themselves sorted, making sure their fuel calculations are right, and then starting to work on their tires. So you'll see the cars jacked up. They'll drop down to the circuit and getting ready to go. 16 seconds before they'll fire up those engines and start rolling and starting to generate a little bit more heat into the cars with a little bit of brake drag, a little bit of moving around to create friction on the tires, anything to warm up the carcasses of the tire and to get ready to rock, roll, and rumble, because turn 1 is incredibly tricky on the circuit. With that being said, though, we are getting ready to go underway for our race. And honestly, I'm super, super excited to see what we're going to do and how they're all going to get underway here at Misano. So at the lockouts in the front, it is going to be the Pandassi machines that will be going and leading out. But that being said, who is going to be the better of the two? Well, we're going to have to find out a little bit later. But that is going to be in a couple of moments. Let's go through our grid here at Misano for the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. Our title sponsor, EG Evolved, being a part of the action. So, first place is Henry Mayer, joined by the birthday boy himself, Fleming Bauer. Third place, Christoph Peterson, Bego Frobler, Daniel De Villiers, along with Ernest Lundberg's in sixth. Nicholas Manuel Henry Platt for the Ominous Gaming team, getting chased down by Jason Ebsmeyer. Rounding out our top 10 is Jason Farmer. Rune Heineke starts out in 11th with Mordred Claessens, Tienes Puerta, Jean-Ray Dutoy, Darren Miller. Herman Whipner leads out our Pro-Am. Chris Collison in 17th with Gerry van Zyl. Ryan van der Race in 19th, and 20th is Johan Verveers. 21st, Jeffrey LaRue, followed by Gerry Duplessis, Miles Stone, Neil Swartz, Keegan Bowen, Jared Bakoum, Vessel Loader, Ron van der Walt, Reginald Mutalani down in 29th position. Not where he wants to be, considering he's trying to fight out for that championship, lying 3rd place. Jared Pretorius in 30th. 31st is Benjamin Till, followed by Jonathan Chrislet, Henny Porchita, along with Anton Lammers, Luke Hananes, Chris Biermester, Ulrich Diaga, and rounding up the pack, due to that qualification ban, Singers Racing, Gerrit Bucas, who will be fighting from the back of the field. So, drivers at the ready and getting ready for an incredible race. 1 hour and 20 minutes, 2 mandatory pit stops. Can they last on this 30-degree track temperature, 28 degrees air temperature? Tires are going to be eaten away, and we have seen different strategies coming into play throughout the season. Short stops at the start and longer stops at the end, or vice versa. We're going to see it all cracking on here as the cars slow down. 70 kilometers an hour. They will wait to get told. Listen, get ready to go. They will get told. Lights on. And it'll be up to Henry Mayer to get the jump on Fleming Bauer heading into turn 1. Surrounding the final corner. Side by side, double file formation. Aim for the right-hander. Lights on. Lights on. Lights on. And with 38 cars on the grid, lights on, lights off, and away we go racing. Henry Mayer getting the jump on Fleming Power as they side-by-side. Peterson trying to get ahead of Bago Krobler as they launch over the curbs. All looking alright. A little bit of a Constantino effect coming into the play. Henry Platt getting sucked in through the field as we do see the Simbergs. Oh, bit of a move for Henry Platt, and we've got accidents at the back. Unfortunately, that looks to be one of the Pandacity cars going for a bit of a tumble. We also see Gerry van Zyl. Oh, that is Herman Whipner going and landing in the middle of the field. So a little bit of contact, 3 wides, not working out in their favor. The drivers still up and going nonetheless as they continue to fight on. Bago Krobler fights against the likes of Christoph Peterson, gets the inside drive, now trying to get a little bit away. Christoph tucks in behind in 4th place. Daniel de Villiers hangs on the back. He's got Ernest Lindbergh trying to have a look around the outside, and on the inside, Nicholas Manuel fighting back. Jason Abschmeyer immediately trying to capitalize on the moment. Will try and get the drag down the straight with McLaren. Does get ahead. Henry Platt trying to defend for his life at the moment. He's got Jason Farmer right on the back of him. Jean-Ray Toy goes up on the inside of Jason Farmer, gets a pass done, and Darren Miller nearly looked for that inside line. He backed out of it though, just biding his opportunity to get going. Bit of a mistake coming in for Limburgs. He does fall off the circuit as we do see Jason Farmer diving into the pits. He's one of these earlier pit stops. Rune Heineke, Gerry van Zyl, all dives into the pits. Neil Swartz, Jared McComb. So we're starting to see those early pit stops coming and creeping in. Christoph Peterson onto the back of Bago Krobler, trying to get any pass done and dusted. Daniel de Villiers just following in tow as it stands. But it's Ryan van der Race who leads out the Pro-Am after the start of the race and looks to continue on the charge. Henry Mayer, Fleming Bauer now opening up the gap to one another and will be focusing on their hard charge to make it work. Nicholas Manuel trying to get as close as he can to the Nissan GTR. That Ferrari 296 is very, very nimble through the corners, but the GTR has got incredible straight line speed that is comparable to the McLaren. Herman Whipner, after a bit of a rough start, down in 2nd of the Pro-Ams, onto the back of Chris Collison. He's got to clear Chris Collison, LaRue, and Miles Stone before he can even get close to Ryan van der Race, who currently leads the Pro-Am field. But he has to be careful as Jan Verveers, the Trail Bullets team, onto the back of him. The Verveers team have been on a stellar run. Going back to Le Mans Ultimate happening last night, the Trail Bullets team quite happy with their results and fight their way through. 38 cars on the climb and still going after a little bit of argy-bargy on the start. Let's quickly go and take a look at some of those argy-bargies. Heading over to the 118 car. And this was Gerry van Zyl, who landed up a little bit 3 wide. Does run out a bit wide on the brakes, nearly having McLaren's going into the side of him. And there's where it's all went wrong for the Pandacity team. Straight in the middle, Gerry van Zyl also nearly getting caught in that mess as well. Had to climb on the anchors and having a bit of shoulder-to-shoulder damage while fighting his way through. Christoph Peterson putting the pressure on Nicholas Manuel, trying to close off the corners. Nicholas having a bit of a look. And now Jason Abschmeier got the run through and will be chasing him down. The McLaren has got some incredible straight line speed. Nicholas Manuel does look on the inside of the Honda NSX. Does understeer a lot. Forces Christoph Peterson very, very wide. And now Jason Abschmeier going to try and have the run around the outside. Late on the brakes. Can he make it stick, however? Not quite, as we do see Christoph just narrowly keeping ahead of Jason Abschmeier. Good clean racing between the two of them. But right behind the Porsche of Mordre Claessen's, right on the rear spoiler of Jason Abschmeier. Looks to try and get the pass done. Jason Abschmeier on the inside of Christoph Peterson. Late move. Forgot the brake markers there. Little bit of a side-to-side contact with Peterson. Mordre Claessen says thank you very much. He gets the pass. And Henry Platt joins in for the tow as well. So a bit of late braking coming in for Jason Abschmeier. Not quite what he wanted to have. Peterson into pit lane to try and get him sorted out. And Ernest Limburgs now continues behind Henry Platt. He's going to push a little bit harder to get a little bit more up the road. The Fear the Bones driver will hope to make it work out in his favor. He's got John Ray Toy chasing him down. Rian for the race, chasing the likes of Darren Miller as Miles Stone with that Aston Martin spears in for the inside line. Try to get the pass done. He unfortunately loses a bit of time, and here comes LaRue trying to put the pressure on. Jeffrey LaRue not holding back. The Rufadish now trying to make it work out in his favor. Goes right onto the back of the Aston Martin, hoping to force Miles Stone, the American, to back out of the fight. However, Miles Stone, a second place championship winner for ERA, gets into a bit of contact, and that is him down and out. My heavens, what on earth? Let's quickly take a look at Miles Stone and what happened there. Let's go to Tim in our helicam. So he was behind Darren Miller and one of the McLarens, so all looking okay. Late on the brakes. Contact with the McLaren Constantino effect, and unfortunately LaRue gives him a tag on the rear, spins him around, and that takes him a little bit out of the race. A drive-through penalty coming in for Luca Naines. Unfortunately, going and having track limits exceeded, costing him a bit of time there, and will be hurting big time. Henry Mann puts in the fastest lap time of the race. Rian for the race, who was part of that Constantino effect, is able to keep going, but dives into pit lane to get himself sorted out, try and fix the car and get himself back out in front of the Pro-Am field. Johan Fears keeps the pressure on to the likes of Herman Whitner, who now takes over the lead of the Pro-Am field. Fears sits in second. Duplessis chases down right behind in the Ferrari. They have Corsa in third place for our Pro-Ams as they continue the hard drive through. Reginald Mutaleni has had a little bit of a climb up through the order as well, up into 17th. He's got Gerry Duplessis just ahead of him, but Jonathan Chrysler on his tail to keep him rather busy. Jonathan's not going to back out of this one. He's got Benjamin Till chasing him down, hoping to try and get the pass on the way through. Lucan into the pit, serving that drive-through penalty. So is the likes of Rem for the race, trying to also get a little bit more pace. Kurt Bukes, who's way down the order from where he wanted to be. 38th position was the start. He's up into 35th now, as we did see that pass on Ulrich Diaga up on the inside. Unfortunately, one retirement out of the race, and that is a rather unfortunate one. And it's trying to see who that might be that actually retired out of the race and is out of the championship now. Going for the race, and Ulrich Diaga keeps the pressure on one another as they continue on the charge. But it's Kurt Bukes trying to make some climb up through the order. Ernest Lindbergh's Henry Platt now tow each other along here to try and get a little bit closer to Mordred Clausen in that Porsche 992.2 GT3 car. And, well, GT3R car. You got to get it right. There's so many numbers and names on those cars. It's incredible to see how the Porsche brand has really worked on the car to have that little bit more straight line. They can contend against Ford Mustang. The Honda NSX, with its twin turbocharged motors, needs to be relatively high in the rev range to keep those turbos spooled up to optimal levels to keep them on the road and ensure they can keep the pressure on. Fleming Bauer chases down Henry Mayer. He's 2.6 seconds back from Henry Mayer, who leads out the grid. You can see a bit of clear air between the drivers. Begor Krobler sits in third for the Team Wolf. He's got Daniel de Villiers chasing him down, 1.6 seconds behind Nicholas Manuel, Jason Abshire, along with Mordred Clausen's Henry Platt, Ernest Lindbergh's, and Jean-Ray de Toy stay in the mix. So drivers in the top 10 are a little bit more open to one another. We are getting reports, however, the 149 of Anton Lummers having a bit of contact, and looked like it might have been against Henny Puchita. So, Anton Lummers coming through. What on earth happened to the driver? Trying to get a pass done and dusted. Goes for the inside on the Racing Snails. And there's the side-to-side contact between the two. The door getting closed on him. Henny Puchita tried to make the corner. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in his favor. Jonathan Chrysler turned round. The 996 driver having a little bit of a problem. Let's quickly take a look at what happened. Oh, the rear just starting to let go into the horrible slow traction control. And it's terrible. When you get these traction control slides, it just holds on, it slides forever, and you wait for it to stop. There's not much you can do to try and keep yourself going. Mordred Clausen's Henry Platt and Ernest Lindbergh's are our closest fights on circuit in terms of a trio, a duo, being for Fears and Kerry Duplessis as they fight for the likes of second and third place. Reginald Mutilini closed up the gap as well. Side by side as Lindbergh's takes the inside line. And Henry Platt stuck on the outside, trying to get the drive out of the corner. He's got Jean-Ray de Toy closing up at a rate of knots. The Omnis Gaming driver has to fight it out against the Stingers. Not going to be an easy time. He just had the Fear the Bones driver of Ernest Lindbergh's. Gets on by and now looks to chase down Mordred Clausen's. Being in the slipstream here around Misano is a great one and can help you out a lot. Likes of Fears 1 second away from the likes of Herman Whipner, who leads out our Pro-Am field. Second and third of the Pro-Ams are in hot contention, with Reginald Mutilini in fourth, who is right on the tail, 0.3 of a second, trying to get the power down. The McLaren needing to really dig deep at the moment to get past the likes of Kerry Duplessis, who's going to make life rather difficult. Does get the apex, where Reginald unfortunately misses it by a country mile. Ruan van der Walt going off circuit, not going to be quite happy with that one. Keegan Bowen will chase the inside, looking to try and get that pass done. He's got Anton Lummers for a bit of company as well. And you can see Keegan's got some stellar drive on Ruan van der Walt, but just can't get the pass done. Not enough room. And the rear of the McLaren snapping out underneath him. Here comes Anton Lummers, who's going to have the drive heading into turn one. Holds the inside line, goes to middle as Keegan goes around the outside, sweeps across the nose, and maintains his position. Looking at those that have gone through the pit stops for their first set of pit stops, Jason Farmer currently leads out in 26th and is the marker for our drivers to see how far up the road they can go. Jeffrey LaRue, Darren Miller fighting out between one another. Miller off the circuit very, very wide as LaRue also starts to understeer with him. Was chasing to try and get that inside line, trying to get on by. Unfortunately, Lamborghini's got some good rotation to it. It's a car that's tricky to drive, but when you get it done, it is an incredible machine to fight it out in. As Jeffrey LaRue in the McLaren has got the top end, but cornering has a little less to be desired on the car, requiring a lot more work to try and get it in. Does take a tighter line into the bottom section, trying to get any sort of pace out of the car. Closes right up under braking to the likes of Darren Miller, but just not early enough on the power to capitalize the run. And will have to wait yet again for another passing opportunity. Kerry Duplessis dealing with Reginald Mutilini at the time, and Reg is not backing down. He wants to try and get that pass done and dusted. Jump on board for the internal server error. Reginald Mutilini who is currently 4th in class, chasing down Perry Duplessis, heading into turn 1. Going to be late on the brakes to try and make it work. Unfortunately, not an easy time for the driver. And here we go through Variante del Porco, and does get a stellar drive out of turn 3, heading to turn 4. Not enough room for him to get the pass done into Curva del Rio, and hopes to really get the hammer down all the way through. Drivers needing to get that little bit more of a push, to get that little bit more of a run, and to be ensured that they're in the top running order. So, as our drivers really put the hammer down, everyone trying to figure out what is going to be the game plan here. What can they do to make it work out in their favor? The big question that comes in from the drivers is, when are the pit stops going to work out? What are they going to do? What are the strategies that each of the drivers and teams are going to have to utilize to move their way up through the order? And it is for both the Pro and Pro-Am class. The Pros are a little bit more open. Pro-Ams are sitting right on top of one another. I mean, likes of Johan Fiers is all over the back of Herman Whipner, and behind him, Kerry Duplessis, Reginald Mutileni, and Benjamin Till continue on the chase. They've got Tienes Puerta, who is a pro driver, chasing him down, looking for any opportunity to move up through the overall pack and a bit closer to his class. Johan Fiers fights it out with Herman. Looks to try and get the drive out of turn 1, turn 2, into turn 3. Johan not having an easy one there. Herman trying everything he can to battle it out. Kerry Duplessis also major sends into the corner to try and keep away from Reginald Mutileni, who is quite vicious on that steering wheel. Not an easy turn, fighting with the car a little bit more. That's allowing Benjamin Till to get right onto the back of him. Benjamin's not going to wait out for an opportunity here. A bit of contact coming in. Ernest Lindbergs and Mordred Claessens having a bit of side-by-side contact. We'll quickly go and take a look at the replay there and see what happened between the Pandassi driver and the Fear the Bones driver. Mordred Claessens tucks to the inside line, and Ernest Lindbergs battles his way through, swaps to the inside, sold a bit of a dummy there. Late on the brakes, a bit of understeer creeps in between the two. Little bit of a rub between them, but nothing too hectic. And Ernest Lindbergs getting a dummy done and dusted on Mordred Claessens, beautifully caught. And Henry Platt now has the opportunity to go on the attack as well. So Henry, hoping that he can make it work out in his favor, will continue to push on that little bit harder. And also a driver that's gone into the BMW Kart Club racing in a Z4. Z3 or Z4? I think it was a Z3. He's got, at the moment that he's been racing in the BMW Kart Club. Reginald Mutileni and Benjamin Till continue to keep the pressure on one another as they focus on the drive. Run for the Vault and Anton Lummers is our closest battle as well. So, drivers need to really get a little bit quicker. They need to push and get themselves a little bit up through the order. That being said, let's take a look at who has gained and who has lost the most. The most gains at the moment is actually Chris Biermeister, sitting on 16. He climbed from 36th into 20th at the moment and is still trying to move his way up through the order. However, biggest loss of position due to a pit stop, third place on the grid, Christoph Peterson down into 26th at the moment, down 23 positions from the start of the race. Remember, he did do that pit stop that would have brought him down the order. Now has a little bit more clear air to fight his way through. Kerry Duplessis still continues on his fight with Reginald Mutileni and Benjamin Till, as these three, the trio, now continue on their charge to fight through the order. Kerry Bucas is getting past the likes of Rian van der Race in 31st position. Rian van der Race down in 32nd, trying to pick up the pace now. Take a look at an interesting strat. Adrian van der Race is second of the Pro-Ams that are pitted, but he's also gone for 10 seconds in the box, just to do a bit of a fuel topper. where Jared Beckham did the same thing for Team Wolf driver, but was only stopped in the box for 6.8 seconds. So both didn't take tires, but Jared had more fuel in the tank compared to the McLaren, and he's hoping that that's going to be the switch. That extra 2 to 4 seconds that was gained from the pit stop time has worked out in his favor. So drivers continue to try and figure out what's going to work out for them. Henny Pochita dealing with the likes of Jason Farmer. Two different classes. The Racing Snails fighting against the pro driver of Jason Farmer. But Jason's got to try and find a clean way past. Oh, taking a lot of curb there. And Henny Pochita way off circuit as well. Both not getting the corner right. Jason a little bit too early. And Henny having the understeer, taking him off the circuit, loses out the position. Reginald Mutaleni keeps the pressure on Ferry Duplessis, trying to figure out how can he get by. What does he need to do to make it work on the Ferrari? The AF Corsa takes a look from the rear wing, and you can see that McLaren 720S Evo all over the back of them. Benjamin Till with the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo on the back of him as well, knowing that there is a problem looming and he needs to really focus on the charge. None of these drivers have gone into the pits as yet. They're going to stay out a little bit longer as we continue to fight our way through round 4 of Misano right here for the EG Evolved GT3 Championship powered by RaceFace.Pro. And we get to see the drivers fight through. Reginald Mutaleni around the outside, tries to get it to work out in his favor. However, a little bit of contact comes into play with the two, and Reginald still stuck on the outside. Understeer from the light of Duplessis. Reginald's going to keep his foot in through the curb, and oh, a little bit of contact yet again. That has now brought Benjamin Till a bit closer to Reginald and Duplessis. Duplessis goes to the inside to lock out Reginald, and Benjamin Till's going to sweep around the outside. Unfortunately, understeer comes in. He's off circuit. Benjamin Till loses out the time. Visselwoda, who's actually a lap down, says, okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to keep going. This is going to be a proper run. All right, I'll get it right, Alan. Misano. Is that how it's done? Misano. It's always good. I've got to say, I love having Alan around. It's good to have you, but it's always great to have a fellow commentator. And always, getting correct when you get a bit of correction, especially when it comes to the tricky names or for those overseas European ones. It's always fantastic to get an idea. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it, buddy. Reginald Mutaleni continues to fight it out against Duplessis. Right up against the rear wing, trying to push that a little bit harder over the curbing. You can see those sausage curbs are not easy to deal with these cars. They bottom out as they do sit rather low. You got those curbs that are actually roughly 4 centimeters in length or in height to deal with, and that bottoms the cars out, lands up with a bit of an issue, and also causes the cars to get very light on the steering wheel. You come snapping down with that loss of grip, and it tends to be a little bit more of a difficult situation. Visselwoda getting his way past, dives on the inside of Reginald Mutaleni, and continues to try and fight his way through. So this is going to be an interesting time for the likes of Vessel, who is on the climb back up through the order. He is in 36th position. He's a lap down on the race, but is showing the pace to get past, and a very clever move can be utilized here by Reginald Mutaleni. Keep right onto the back of Vessel, who will go on the attack of Ferry Duplessis to try and get the pass done. He'll crack open the door just enough to get the pass done, and Reginald can sneak in through. That is if Ferry Duplessis doesn't suspect the likes of Reginald there. What he can do is try and let Vessel go, get past on the inside, and try and close back that door as much as possible. So slowing the car down a little bit more just to get the likes of that Mercedes to duck in. Oh, well, it seems like it's going to be the opposite. Go and keep the hammer down, and now Vessel going and causing Reginald to lose a bit of time, and Benjamin Till brought back into the fray. So blue flags waving, but due to the rules, and it is GT rules, gotta love it, it's all about if you're the faster car, you need to find your way around the slower vehicles. It has to be a safe, clean pass. For a blue flag, they are not allowed to fight for that position. They're not allowed to argue with it. If you're going to get the pass done, you get the pass done. However, if you can't get it done, they can hold their racing line and continue on the drive. Kerry Duplessis allows the likes of Vessel Oda to get on by as Reginald lost a huge amount of time. And take a look, Vessel goes out a little bit wide. Not an easy drive out of the corner. Kerry Duplessis gives him a little bit more room to play with. And that has allowed Reginald Mutileni back onto the tail and hoping to really push as hard as he can. Benjamin Till back in tow as we keep an eye on these three. Henry Mayer, Fleming Bell, Bego Krobler still miles away from one another with the likes of Daniel De Villiers 1 second off the back of Bego Krobler. But still no change up at the front. We keep an eye on our Pro-Am division who are fighting tooth and nail at the moment. Duplessis currently holding third of the Pro-Am. Has got Reginald Mutileni in fourth and Benjamin Till in that fifth place. But it's Duplessis who's not backing down from the drive. He really puts the power down. That Ferrari looking very, very well set up through the corners. He's able to get the power down a little bit earlier. Mechanical grip coming into Frey and working out in his favor. Reginald utilizing that straight line of the McLaren, hoping to just get a little bit more pace, but he seems to be a little bit more cautious through Sector 1 and Sector 2 compared to the likes of Benjamin Till. Once Benjamin gets a little bit more on pace, he's able to fight back up with these two, showing that Benjamin set his car up to handle more technical corners versus the faster flowing corners that Reginald and Kerry Duplessis have got their cars set up for. Going and having that nice mix between the cars and seeing what's going to work out in their favor as we now into 55 minutes left of the race. It is going to be an eye-opener. We expect to see the first round of major pit stops coming in at the 45-minute mark for our top 20 drivers to get into the pits, and Jason Farmer is that litmus test of whether the earlier pit stop does work out in his favor. He's down in 21st position, so we're going to keep a very close eye on that, as this will be the dictating time for the likes of our front runners, Henry Mayer, Fleming Bauer, Bego Krobler, who are trying to get the hammer down. Daniel De Villiers out there in the Nissan GTR has caught up to the likes of the Team Wolf driver, Bego Krobler, BWSR, looking to really keep the hammer down now as he gets flatter on the gas, closing up at a rate of notch. You can see it can attack the curbs a lot better than the likes of Bego Krobler and is more settled in the car. Bego is a little bit more wild, especially under braking to make it work out in his favor. Late braking for the Nissan GTR. Is understeer going to creep in? No. Beautifully done, but Bego was able to get the power out of the corner to keep ahead of the Nismo, and now needs to try and figure out what is going to be the game plan here, because Daniel De Villiers will be keeping the pressure on, focusing on a hard charge at the moment to get that pass done and dusted. Jeffrey LaRue continues to battle on with Darren Miller going up very, very wide. Miller took a tighter line, a little bit slower, but got a good corner exit to make it work out in his favor. Up and down through the gears he goes for the Lamborghini, a little bit loose on the rear as he keeps an eye on LaRue. LaRue keeps that pressure on the rear spoiler, hoping to try and get the pass done and dusted. However, not going to be an easy one. Going to have to go really late on the brakes to try and make it work. Unfortunately, not going to have the run through here, as the Lamborghini does have a lot more cornering ability over the McLaren, but it's all going to come down to sheer brute force power. Back towards our Pro-Ams, however, Duplessis and Reginald Mutileni continue to fight it out for that third place, and Reg is hoping to go for the pass. He looks for the inside every single time, but misses his brake markers. Duplessis keeps pushing and fighting his way through. So always a tough time out there, and really trying to keep the hammer down. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstands, we've also got another VIP joining us. That is Hansi Myberg, the man, the myth, the legend, and the admin that has done incredible work here at RaceFace.Pro and part of the team triad. As won't be in the race this time round. It's sad to see him not in the race this time round, but it's good to see him out there supporting all the friends out on the circuit. Kerry Duplessis loses out the drive. Reg has got the inside, curb to curb they go. Both drivers not yielding. There's a contact and a save for the likes of Gerry du Plessis on Reginald Muteleni. He's not happy with how that pass was done, but I've got to say, well done to both drivers. Well done to du Plessis on a nicely held, but now he's got to concentrate on Benjamin Till. He's flashing his lights frantically still, and well, I've got to say, he's got to stop that, because at the moment you irritated yourself. You got that red mist in, you're flashing your lights continuously, and all that you're actually doing is irritating yourself. You're taking your mind out of the race, and you're going to give it to Benjamin Till, who's right on his tail and will be looking for the pass. So Benjamin Till has got everything in the bag. He just needs to remain calm. He knows and will be getting reports from the team that du Plessis has got the red mist. He's irritated, and he wants to try and get the pass on Reginald Muteleni. Both of them not getting the corner right, but Benjamin Till continues to hope the drive goes. I mean, this is going to be a proper run nonetheless, but du Plessis still, it's been just about half a lap. Most of the lap has been with lights flashing to Reginald Muteleni. It just opens up a gap now, and we'll be checking out that fight. So always a great race on the cards, but now for du Plessis, he's got to be really watching the mirrors to keep an eye on Benjamin Till. And right behind them, Chris Beermister has been on a very good climb. His lap times have slowly been coming down and has been doing the fastest between all the three of our drivers that we've been keeping an eye on. He did 135.177, and that was his best. His current time is 135. It's a 135.740, which is actually quicker than Benjamin Till, Gerry du Plessis, and Reginald Muteleni as it stands. So he's really trying to dial them in, trying to get that a little bit closer to stay in for the fight. Du Plessis keeps the pressure on Reginald, trying to get that pass done and dusted. However, we saw these two come door to door with one another. Is it going to happen again? And if it does, that means that Benjamin Till's going to have an open card pass to make it work out in his favor. Reg continues to open up that gap just a fraction on the Ferrari as du Plessis tries to dive for the inside. Couldn't quite get the pass done. We'll have to wait yet again. A little bit further back, Henry Porchita dealing with Neil Swartz and Jared Bacum, who will be continuing their fight. The Team Wolf driver taking an early pit stop, much like Neil Swartz, as they fight out for on-track position. But Henry Porchita, in a little bit of no man's land at the moment, has yet to do any of his stops. He's ahead of the drivers and will be trying to eye out an opportunity to move forward. He's going a little bit of a later game. 49 minutes left of this race. Miles Stone dives into pit lane to get some work done on his car. The 474, unfortunately, running into a bit of a problem. Let's quickly take a look at what happened to the 474 car. And unfortunately, that is not Miles Stone. That is the Team Wolf driver, number 15. So Tim trying to give us a bit of a replay of what happened. But Miles Stone actually had a disconnect, and that put him out of the race. So what was getting shown there was a disconnect that forced him into the pit lane. Not ideal and not quite what you want to have. Darren Miller dealing with Jeffrey LaRue, who hunts down the inside line with that McLaren. The Lamborghini just having a little bit more pace on him through the twists and is able to keep the power on all the way through. Darren Miller hopes to try and keep it all in order with that beautiful V10 shouting behind him. The orchestra playing a symphony, as I like to say, and LaRue is soaking it all up. He's applying a serious amount of pressure on Darren Miller, trying to get the 11th place and move his way up through the order. However, LaRue needs to concentrate on what he needs to do to make it working out in his favor. And how hard is he willing to go during the course of this race? As our drivers focus on the hard charge, we do see a bit of late braking. LaRue, unfortunately, losing that little bit of time. And the likes of De Villiers start to open up the gap just a fraction more. Jeffrey LaRue and Miller are fighting out for championship standings as it stands. Miller sits in 19th with 36 points, and LaRue sitting with 36 points as well. So they are tied between the two of them, and they are also getting chased down by the likes of Tienes Buerta in the points, who is down just below. So Still, some great racing and some interesting time. However, we just got reports in Anton Lammers went off circuit, lost out to Christoph Peterson and Jason Farmer. So the Treehouse Works Racing not having an easy time out there. Lost a bit of pace. Now we'll have to try and climb back up as Christoph Peterson fights against a rival he knows all too well. They fought it out in different championships around the world. Jason Farmer and Christoph Peterson look to do battle yet again. Benjamin Till dives into pit lane, going and releasing the likes of Reginald Mutileni and Duplessis to deal with one another and try and see whether they can push a little bit harder into the race. 46 minutes left of this race. We expect to see on the 45-minute mark a lot of the drivers to pull in for their first pit stops, and we will then see from the litmus test Jason Farmer and Peterson, who pitted a lot earlier in this race. Peterson not by his own choice, but Jason Farmer did that first lap pit to get himself sorted out and trying to push to the end. He was stopped in the box for 5.8 seconds just for a splash and dash in fuel. We did see Milestone in the background as he focused on the charge. Claire Bucas keeps ahead of Rian van der Reyst, who tries to make his climb back up late on the brakes, right up against the likes of Bucas, turns him around. Gerard Pretorius says thank you very much, and Keegan and Bowen, but Claire Bucas joins the circuit after the climb up. He's back down to 30 after Rian van der Reyst. That little bit late on the brakes, couldn't slow the car down enough. That tap on the rear costing him a bit of time. And now, Bucas having to work his way back. Ernest Lindbergs and Jason Absmeyer continue to fight it on with one another. These two drivers have kept each other rather honest throughout this race. How long can they keep going as Ernest Lindberg's going and losing that front end just a little bit? You can see it was snapping around out underneath him through the final corner, but he's now still keeping the pressure up, still going to focus on as he gets going. So drivers still looking for that big push as it stands. Leading out though after likes of 35 minutes of racing, Henry Mayer, Fleming Bauer and Bego Krobler hold first, second and third. For our Pro Division, Herman Whipner, along with likes of Jan Verveers and Reginald Mutileni, hold first, second and third for the Pro-Am Division. We keep an eye on Ernest Lindbergs and the likes of Jason Abschmeyer, who will continue to keep the pressure on one another, and does look like Lindbergs dives for the inside. It was a thought for Jason to guard. He second-guessed it and went back into it. That little bit of hesitation, unfortunately, throws him down into 7th position. 0.2 of a second. The Pandassi Noctua driver, Jason Abschmeyer, goes and fights it out. Good to see Jason Abschmeyer now joining up with the Pandassi team and looks to continue on. Former White Rabbit Gaming driver in the early 2020s, 2021, now going and joining up with the Pandassi organization. Bit of a move around the outside, not working out in his favor. Ernest Lindberg's going to be more than happy to hold his line. Daniel De Villiers, big time to come in, as we do see the likes of Christoph Peterson into pit lane, Rian van der Reyst, Henny Porchita, Tiernas Puerta, Vesselwoda, all pull into the pits. But the big call is Daniel De Villiers into the pits. Jason Abschmeyer joins in as well. So Daniel De Villiers, from sitting in 3rd to 4th place, dives into the pits. Is he going to come out ahead of Jason Farmer? That is going to be the key question here. 43 minutes left in this race. Getting the first pit stop done and dusted. There's a couple of drivers like Christoph Peterson who are completing all their pit stops and going to be racing to green. So Christoph Peterson in a net first place as it stands, as he's completed all his pit stops, will power his way through. Darren Miller gets into the pit lane as well. So the drivers thinking a little bit of a later strat here for Henry Mayer, Fleming Bell, Bego Krobler, Nicholas Manuel, Ernest Lindbergs, Mordred Claassen, Henry Platt, Sean Red, Toy LaRue, Chris Collison, likes of Herman Whipner, Johan Verveers, Reginald Mutileni, Kerry Duplessis, Chris Beermister, Anton Lammers, all deciding. Going to go a little bit longer into this race, and until the light goes off, that fuel light on the dash goes off, done, and you have the thought of, I know my car, coming in to play, hopefully not running out of fuel, as we've seen many in the past going and falling into that trap. But De Villiers loses out a little bit of time, and he falls into the likes of 18th position. A little bit up the road from him is Gerry van Zyl. Now, this is an interesting call. Gerry van Zyl pitted a lot later than the likes of Jason Farmer, but Jason Farmer is doing his final pit stop. That's what I wanted to just find out. But Jason Farmer has done his final pit stop. He gets ahead of Christoph Peterson, so hoping for the undercut to close it off with an extra lap. Gerry van Zyl now leads out those that have done their first pit stop. Jason Farmer leads out those that have done their second pit stop. Fleming Bauer and Henry Mayer dive into pit lane. That's going to release Bego Krobler, Nicholas Manuel, Ernest Lindbergs, Mordred Claessens, and Henry Platt to go a little bit longer in this race. They're hoping to really put on the climb. Chris Collison and Herman Whitner all continue on their drive. So quite a variety of drivers opting not to go into the pits. Henry Mayer, Bauer, Jean-Ray Latoya, Jeffrey LaRue, and Harry Duplessis dive into the pits. Reginald Muttolini is going to hold on, as we do see Mordred Claessens trying to get on the inside of Eswoda. Does get it done on the Mercedes and does continue his drive through. A quick flash of light saying, thank you very much, buddy. Really appreciate that. And unfortunately, does have a little bit of slide onto the brakes, trying to get that car all sorted out. So, mix-up starting to happen around the circuit as the first round of pit stops come through. The second round of pit stops for some of the drivers. And to good show is Christoph Peterson, stopped in the box for 32.5 seconds. But let's talk about Jason Farmer here for a minute. His first stop was 6.8 seconds in the box, short fuel, and back out. Completely agree with that, more than happy with it. His second pit stop to go and continue to the end with 40 minutes to go is a very interesting strat. And I know there's a couple of drivers and a couple of team members that are thinking back at this and scratching ahead. Jason Farmer was stopped in the box for 18.4 seconds. That tells you he's still on the same set of tires on this car. He's going to be pushing a single set through to the end. There's no more pit stops after this. And that means he's got incredible amounts of work needed to keep those tires alive and do everything he can. But it means getting into a fight. Let's talk about this. Darren Miller's ahead of him. If Darren Miller tends to make life a little bit more difficult for Jason Farmer, those tires are going to drop off even quicker than where he wants them to be. Well, Darren Miller's got a brand new set of tires on his car. That fresh rubber means that he can push a lot harder and a lot longer than he would like. Christoph Peterson getting ahead of Gerry Duplessis, sweeps around the outside. They are fighting in two different classes. Duplessis trying to get a little bit closer back to looks of Reginald Muttolini. Drivers into the pits. Nicholas Manuel, Johan Verveers, Herman Wepner, Gerry van Zyl, Chris Biermesser, Chris Collison, Gerald Pretorius, all into the pits here at Misano, and will be continuing on their drive for round 4 of the EG Evolved GT3 Championship, powered by RaceFace.Pro. Mordred Claessens leads out the field, dives into pit lane at a rate of knots, while Henry Platt follows suit in second. Reginald Muttolini in third place, quite a distance away from Mordred and Henry. The question is he going to get in the pits to get his first stop done and dusted? Anton Lummers still needs to get his first stop done and dusted in the Pro-Am division as well, and that will then bring everyone back into their normal racing stops, with one more to go, barring the likes of Jason Farmer and Christoph Peterson. Reginald Muttolini continues to go on a little bit further. He wants to put himself squarely into first place, even for a little bit of time, as we do see a couple of drivers coming out of pit lane. Like Gerald Pretorius comes out of pit lane and will be more than happy with that milestone. Still stuck in the pits, and it looks like they have retired that Aston Martin. Whatever's gone on with the car has taken him out of the race. What a blow for the Aston Martin driver. Reginald Muttolini now leads out the race. Ernest Lindbergs up into second place. Henry Mayer in third place. Both have done their first pit stop, both trying to figure out what can they do to get the jump. Now it comes down to who's going to pull the trigger first on getting their final stop in this race. We have seen drivers go right down to the last 12 minutes to get their last pit stop done, dusted, and back out. Well, they will be fighting it out. However, Reginald Mutilini, Anton Lammers, both needing to do their very first pit stop, are going to be taking a look at the likes of Jared Bakum, likes of Keegan Bowen, and likes of Fafirs and Webner, who are closing through. Fafirs actually pulls into the pits to get his final pit stop out of the way and race through to the end. So taking a little bit of an undercut on the drivers, hoping to move his way through. As we take a look towards Jeffrey LaRue, who chases down Jason Farmer at the moment. Jason Farmer is ahead of Ruben Heineke, ahead of Jared Bakum, ahead of Christoph Peterson, Kerry van Sale, Fafirs, and Gerald Pretorius, who have all completed their pit stop. So Jason Farmer up into 16th is showing where exactly he's going to come out compared to the rest of the field. And we are getting reports, however, that the 205 driver landed up in the dust. And that was Ernest Lindberg. So what happened to Ernest Lindberg that threw him into the dirt? So coming around the corner, all looking fine. Dives into pit lane. Okay, so it was just, looks like a pit stop, routine pit stop. Gets himself into the pit box. All looking okay there. So Ernest Lindbergs makes his way around the circuit and continues on the drive to get himself going. Always a tough time out there, and will be focusing on the drive. Who is going to have the run? So Jason Farmer lies 13th position. Neil Swartz, Anton Lammers get their way through the box. Benjamin Till back on the rear of Kerry Duplessis, trying to push a little bit harder. Both drivers still need one more stop as they do take a look behind them and see Jared Bakum, who is chasing down. So each of these drivers trying to figure out what is the big plan here. What can they do to really force a mistake? Like Christoph Peterson, who is tailing Jason Farmer at the moment. He's behind Herman Whitner, who is leading out the Pro-Am field as it stands. And Herman really needing to try and figure out what does he need to do. Is he going to fight with a pro driver? No, he keeps it to the outside. Allows Christoph Peterson to get on by. Says, right, you tow me along now. I need to break away from the likes of Harry Duplessis, Benjamin Till, Anton Lammers, and Jared Bakum at the moment. So you're going to pull the pace. You're going to keep me a little bit ahead. And Christoph Peterson now one step closer to catching the likes of Jason Farmer, who has completed all these pit stops. He's got Jeffrey LaRue ahead of him that still needs to do his stop and continues on. Only driver currently on circuit that has not done any of his pit stops is Reginald Mutilini, who is out in first place. He is driving it right till empty to try and give him as much room as possible to hold on to first place for the Pro-Am. He is fighting third in the championship and wants to make it work. The Stingers Racing trying to keep a bit of pressure on the back of him as well. They are a lap down on Reginald Mutilini for now, but that can change during the course of this race. And once the pit stops start to come in, 28 laps happen around the circuit of Misano, and now continue to keep the power through all the way. It's going to be a tough times. Luca Nance keeps the pressure on Henny Porchita, the two teammates going and fighting through as they do have Christoph Peterson trying to sneak on by. And we do get reports, however, Chris Beermister disqualified out of the race. That is going to be for either not serving a drive-through penalty within 3 laps or sped incredibly quick in pit lane, which instantly gave him a DSQ and knocking out the Pandacity driver completely out of the race. So a big mistake coming in for Chris Beermister that has thrown a spanner in the works for his championship and will be kicking himself because there's only one person that can get it that wrong, and that is the driver, solely squared up. A big look on the inside for Daniel De Villiers as he gets past likes of Ram van der Race. They are not fighting for on-track position. De Villiers up into 4th place at current. Gets past the likes of Van der Race, who sits in 27th. Darren Miller onto the back of Gerrit Bucas, who did start out in last position during the course of this race. Now continues the fight between one another. Ernest Lindbergs and Chris Collison starting to play with one another a little bit further back for 17th and 18th position. LaRue and Jason Farmer will keep each other busy as well. So the Stingers Racing fights against Darren Miller, the Mustang, not making it any easier here. And Darren Miller in that Lamborghini will keep the pressure on. Slowly but surely, Jason Farmer closing up to the 2 as well. LaRue keeps right onto the tail of Jason Farmer, looking to try pull himself along a little bit closer, see if he can get that pass done and dusted. Bucas losing out the position to Miller. He tried to gain it through the corner, however the understeer starting to creep in more and more on this Mustang, not able to get the power down, and will be concentrating on what he has to do to make it work out in his favor. I mean, this is always a proper run. So unfortunately, a couple of drivers going to be questioning their thoughts right now in terms of the pit stops on what do they need to do to make it work out in their favor. LaRue gets ahead of Jason Farmer, who now wants LaRue to push him along. Both very good friends with one another. Both also have come from the Griffin Sim Racing stable and now continue their drive here at RaceFace.Pro for the EG Evolved GT3 Championship, and will be concentrating on what they need to do. Jason Farmer keeping very close eye on the time, 9 seconds ahead of Christoph Peterson, who has completed all his pit stops. As we head over to 30 minutes and 46 seconds left of the race, it is Henry Mayer, Fleming Bauer, and Bagel Krobler, the whole first, second, and third, currently as it stands for the Pro Division. Daniel De Villiers in fourth, followed by Nicholas Manuel, Jason Abschmeyer, Mordred Claassens down in seventh, John Ray DeTroy, Henry Platt, Darren Miller rounds out that top 10. A little bit further back, we've got our Pro-Ams, which is led out by Herman Whipner at the moment as he fights out against Ernest Limburgs, dives up on the inside. Herman Whipner trying to get a little bit closer to the Pro Division. He wants to be racing with the pros and doesn't want to be sitting in the Pro-Am division right now. Kerry Duplessis tails him in second place of the Pro-Am. Reginald Muteleni, who dives into pit lane again. So he's done his final stop, and that was a double stack for him. As he waits to get out onto the circuit, will have this terrible slow drive before he can come off the pit limiter and get going. So Reginald Muteleni, now completing all his stops, sits into a net third place. Sorry, that would be a net fourth place at the moment. Apologies, actually it is a net second, because Jared McComb has done all these pit stops that he needs to keep pressure on. So Reginald Muteleni 10 seconds behind the Team Wolf driver, but everyone ahead of him, Whipner, Duplessis, and Anton Lammers, still needing to do their final pit stop. So a couple of drivers still pushing on to really focus on the drive. 38 cars started, 33 remain around the circuit, still giving it everything they got to keep moving. Now, we started the race on 30 degrees track temperature. It's gone down to 27. That is a huge drop in temperature, and a huge drop to focus on the tires as well, because they're going to start to wear down a fair chunk. Everyone deciding to go and put a new set of boots on their first stop versus their second stop. However, there is a couple of drivers that are still out with their old set of tires. Garrett Bucas being one of them. Still needs to get in the box for the final stop, as he was only stopped in the box for 9 seconds. Likes of Reginald Muteleni, he did his second stop. It was only just fuel, so he's on his old set. But the likes of Jason Farmer is a driver I'm keeping a very close eye on, pulling out a very unique strat that the only time we've actually seen this type of strat working well. I go back to a chap called Dean O'Keefe, who ran most of the season doing exactly that. Darren Miller down into 13th after a spin, has Bucas, LaRue, and Jason Farmer come on by, having the rear step out underneath him, and the tires are dirty. He snaps again. Oh, just stops it before the wall. My heavens, that was extremely close, and Darren Miller protecting the Lamborghini by not clipping the wall. That was incredible fate to go and keep it out of the wall. However, it was throwing him down the field. Herman Webner, Harry Duplessis, Chris Collison all getting past him, and will continue to try and get some drive. That dirt on the tires sticks around for roughly 3 to 4 corners that you've got to try and scrub off means you got to just back off a little bit more. And with the tire pressure starting to go a little bit hectic, you are going to be fighting the car left, right, and center. Gerard Pretorius all over the back of Reginald Mutilini for 25th and 24th position. One of our closest fights currently on circuit. They got the likes of Van der Race closing down as well. Now, cannot forget that Van der Race leads out our Pro-Am division on 128 points. He got a second place in round 1, first in round 2, fourth in round 3. Reginald Mutilini, fifth in round 1, sixth in round 2, third in round 3, looking to try and make it work in his favor. However, Sean Lerero, who is in second place in the championship, is not out on the circuit here tonight, and it will be sacrificing a good amount of points. Henry Mayer pulling in and out of the pits. Where is the likes of Jason Farmer and Christoph Peterson? They are only just coming towards the start finish line. So Henry Mayer will hold on to a net first place ahead of Jason Farmer. So a stellar time, and honestly a well driven race thus far. So great race indeed thus far. Jason Farmer, however, sits in a net second place with Christoph Peterson in a net third. Jeffrey LaRue keeps pressure on Karabukas, hoping to try and get the pass done and dusted. Lies into that top 10, but both needing to do their final stop. And Henry Mayer is now the bar for the drivers to keep a very close eye on when they can get into the box. 25 minutes remain for the race, and the drivers still have a lot of hard work ahead of them. Wepner and Duplessis fighting out for first and second in the Pro-Am division, both needing to do their final pit stops, but Duplessis now looking for that inside line, trying to figure out where can he get past the Pandacity driver. It's going to be a lot of hard work here. They have Corsa right into the slipstream, trying to get the pass to happen. Unfortunately, not going to have the inside as much as he tried going for it. Just couldn't slow the car down enough. There's the understeer that creeps in afterwards through the second right-hander, and it does bottle up your drive down the short straight and allows the likes of Chris Collison to slowly gain a little bit of time. He's 1.8 seconds back and will be keeping a very close eye on this fight as Duplessis all over the back of Wepner, trying to figure out how can he get this pass to work out in his favor. You can see the two different lines coming in as Wepner goes out for a lot of a wider line, where the likes of Duplessis aims for a tight inside line, hoping to just really ram down the gears to really put the power and get going. And if you would like to be part of the championship, head over to SimGrid, RaceFace.Pro. You can enter there. Also, join up on our Discord. Open a help ticket on the Discord, and you'll be able to enter these championships. Not only our Assetto Corsa Competizione, our Le Mans Ultimate, and our iRacing, which will be starting soon as well. So quite a few different sims here at RaceFace.Pro to have a bit of fun. And we've got trophies on the line as well. We've just given our first set of trophies out to each of the winners, made by SBR and Rhino Utility. A big shout out to them for making some magnificent trophies. We'll put them out on our social media in due course for you to go and take a look at the incredible action. However, racing in the championships, and this is something we've got to talk about, because just by competing in the championship, competing in the season, sticking around for the entirety of the season, gives you a ticket for a raffle, as we've got a 16,000 Rand aluminum rig sponsored by Simulator Cave that will be handed out to the drivers at the end of the year. So it doesn't matter what championship you're in, whether you're racing in the ACC, LMU, or iRacing, that sets you up for one raffle ticket. If you're racing in 2 series, that's 2 raffle tickets added in, and you have a chance to win an aluminium extrusion rig sponsored by Simulator Cave. Absolutely wonderful to see the drivers fighting out there. And EG Evolved has got that Spring 10 special that you can go and purchase 10% off all the EGR aluminium rigs as well. If you want to get yourself foot in through the door, don't worry about the RNG and get yourself going. Jeffrey LaRue hunting down the back of Karabuks as he currently holds 10th position as it stands. Henry Mayer still holds the fastest lap of the race, lying in 8th place as he closes the gap to Jean Ray de Toy. take a look at LaRue, putting the pressure on Bucas, saying, come on, buddy, you really got to get the hammer down here. You need to really start getting that climb. You're losing a bit of time through the corners. You're costing me time big, and it's running into an issue. But if you are looking to join, head over to the description. We've got our Discord and our SimGrid to sign up and be a part of the show. Darren Miller and Ruben Heineke continue their drive with one another. Christoph Peterson hopes to put pressure on Jason Farmer. Now, this is for a net second place for the drivers in the Pro Division. Jason Abschmeyer dives into pit lane, and Christoph Peterson sends it up on the inside of Jason Farmer. Outbrakes himself, loses out that little bit of drive, and now will sit in a net third place. Henry Mayer onto the back of the likes of Jean-Andre Dutoit of the Singers Racing team. Stinger 7, Lamborghini, dealing with the Pandacity driver, who continues on a dominating reign through the season. He has been on a serious climb with some of the fastest times here to date, and leads out the Pro Championship as they continue to fight their way through. Kerry Duplessis and Herman Whipner, they also continue to battle out with one another. Nose to tail racing, no one backing out between them, and it's going to be Herman that just ekes out ahead of Duplessis. Has a little bit more in the corners. He's able to get the hammer down a lot earlier and has trust in the Ferrari to bite that little bit more. Both are on their newer set of tires, which means their final pit stop is going to be a splash and dash to see them through to the end. However, it is going to be an interesting run for both drivers to see if they can carry it through. Ruben Heineke up ahead of Darren Miller, the Sarco Griffin Sim Racing team driver, keeping ahead of the PWSR Raging Bull of Darren Miller, who looks for the inside, goes to the outside, try to sell a dummy, looks to sweep across, unfortunately couldn't make it work, looks to try go up and under, unfortunately not enough pace under that Lamborghini to really get it to work. He does, however, go a little bit later on the brakes to close the gap to Ruben Heineke yet again. These two have battled it out around Sarco Championship here at RaceFace, Logistical Nightmare Racing. They have seen the battles straight on and off in variety of championships, and the team rivalry along with the driver rivalry is definitely wild to see, and great to see some great racing between them. Darren Miller gets a pass on the inside of Ruben Heineke, locked down the apex the whole way through, kept it clean, enough space between both drivers, and that was a stellar run on Miller to push that little bit harder. But Miller and Lummers are yet to do their final stops. Anton Lummers has just come into the pit box, so he is getting himself sorted out. Darren Miller is yet to do his final stop, but Ruben Heineke has done his stop, so he has got no concern there. LaRue keeps pressure on Christoph Peterson, who tries to get round the big Mustang of Ferry Bucas at the moment, who is in that 8th position and will be carrying on the climb. However, LaRue is a big one to keep an eye on as the fight between himself and Peterson rages on. Jason Farmer, 1.3 seconds back, closing up at a rate of knots and hoping to really put the hammer down all the way through. I mean, this is how the race is starting to turn out here at RaceFace.Pro for the EG Evolve GT3 Championship, and still with time on the board, it is up in the air who finishes where here tonight and to gain enough points for the championship. Always a tough race indeed, and always phenomenal to have our drivers really putting on the hammer to get going, to fight their way through. Christoph Peterson still keeps pressure on Bucas, who's not backing out of the fight, continues his charge. Remember, Bucas actually started in 38th position. He's up into 8th. 30 position climbs is no easy feat. However, he's got that final stop in to get himself sorted before he can get going, as we do see the fight between the two as Christoph Peterson tries the outside. Ooh, a little bit of door-to-door contact between them. Bucas does come off the gas a little bit, and this is going to allow LaRue to try and take the dive around the outside. Couldn't get it to work out. Bucas holds the inside, forcing LaRue out wide, and here comes Jason Farmer into the fray as well. as the drivers continue to push on that little bit more. LaRue going out, stops it dead on the apex. Jason Farmer hunted for the inside line on Bucas, and however, it didn't work out. Daniel De Villiers into the pits, loses out position to Nicholas Manuel. He's doing his final pit stop. It's going to put him behind Henry Mayer, but the question is, has he done enough to keep ahead of Christoph Peterson? LaRue does the attack on Bucas, runs out a little bit wide. Bucas does look for the inside. Unfortunately, no room to get that pass sorted. Jason Farmer looks for the up and under at the moment, puts his nose side by side with that Mustang. However, the Mustang more than happy to eat the curbs a little bit more and continues on the drive. So Bucas putting up a stellar fight at the moment, fighting for overall on-track position. However, hasn't done his pit stop. So he is allowed to fight, but all that it's doing is Jason Farmer and everyone else behind him that fights with Bucas, that has completed that pit stop, is now in for a world of hurt. For our Pro-Ams, it's Herman Whipner and Kerry Duplessis. They are running first and second. Jason Farmer hunts that inside line, really gets squeezed off circuit, and will have to try it yet again. Joe Ricard, who is for the Team Wolf, is running third in the Pro-Am. He's got Reginald Montaleni trying to close up the gap between them as they fight out for the Pro-Am division. Jason Farmer, once again, around the outside. Claire Bukes tried to look for the up and under. Just not enough room to get the nose of the Ferrari under that Mustang. A quick flash of the lights as he's trying to say to Bucas, listen, buddy, I need to get past you. He does late brake, get the pass done. Can he slow it down enough? Nope. Bucas goes and says, thank you very much. You missed it by a couple of brake markers. And now Ernest Lindbergs comes back into the fray. Now Lindbergs has been out of it for a little bit, has now caught up to Jason Farmer. These two know each other from multiple battles in the amongst championships. Jason Farmer is going to be frustrated fighting against Herb Bucas, who is in the right. He's able to fight for his position. However, the smart strategy coming into play as he does go late on the brakes, dives for the inside over the curves. Ernest Lindbergs tries to go around the outside. And will he be able to get it done? Bucas holds the inside. Understeer comes in on corner exit. And that Mustang now continues to fight it out. Jason Farmer getting a little bit more room to play with as Lindbergs tucks into the toe. Tries to pull himself along and just not having an easy option to get that pass done and dusted. So still quite a bit to happen here. 14 minutes to go. A number of drivers yet to do their final stops. Our first, second of our Pro-Am, first, second, and third of our pros are yet to get their final stops sorted out. Bucas, once again, stuck on the outside, goes for the up and under as Ernest Lindbergs loses out the rear. The car slides out. Mordre Claessens, Jason Abschmeyer go and get on past. Was there contact between the 205 and the 333? We're going to have to go to the helicam on this one as we'll see Bucas in the Ford Mustang and side by side. This is the pass going up and under through the double right-hander. Likes of Ernest Lindbergs holds the inside line. Is there enough room to play with here? They come out. Ooh, a little bit of a clip on the left rear of the Honda NSX with the Ford Mustang. And that's just thrown likes of Lindbergs down the order and needing to catch up 6.2 seconds to Jason Absmeyer as he looks at the back of Lucan Haynes in the Racing Snails BMW, who continues on his drive. So not an ideal situation to be in. Unfortunately, costing him a big time there. Jason Absmeyer, Mordre Claessens will be fighting out with one another, and they start to make a bit of time to Gerrit Bucas, who hopes to get the pass done and dusted. Back towards our Pro-Am division, and this is Duplessis and Herman Whipner, both opting to go a little bit further into this race and really going for a long push as they start to catch up to the likes of Ernest Lindbergs, who flashes to try and let Lucan know that, hey buddy, I'm starting game time on you. You are a lap down on me. Can you please move out of the way? I need to get a little bit more place to race easily and to make it more efficient. So always an interesting tell for our drivers. Lucan does move out of the way and now suddenly has the next problem of Duplessis and the likes of Whipner, who are on his tail fighting out for class championship and now needs to get past. Lucan is a lap down, so blue flags waving. Whipner goes up on the inside. Herman carries the drive, and take a look at Duplessis. Follow suit. Oh, little bit of door-to-door contact there as Duplessis just got on by. Haynes didn't quite see him on the right-hand side. That side contact, unfortunately, moving down. Darren Miller into the pits and coming out of the pits. Will be rejoining the circuit a little bit further down the order where he wanted to be, and still looks to put on the drive. So good racing out there. Good to see Darren Miller keeps the pressure on for the PWSR team and not giving up. I mean, it has been a rough time for the driver, but he is going and fighting his way through. Bucas pulls into the pits. Mordrake Clarkson says thank you very much. Didn't have too much of an argument there. So we see LaRue also into the pits. Now, the pit stops are coming into play. Chris Collison needs to do his final pit stop. Herman Whipner, along with Kerry Duplessis, needs to do his final pit stop. But take a look. First, second, third of our pros. Fleming Bauer, Begar Krobler, and Nicholas Manuel still yet to get themselves in the pits. Same as Jean-Ray Detroy and Henry Platz. They are fighting it through to the end. We've got 11 minutes left. And remember, I spoke about the drivers are not afraid to get it right down to the clock to get themselves into the pits. I mean, this is going to be a tough time. Kerry Duplessis and Whipner continue their drive. Another one of our drivers coming in from iRacing, Noah Hendricks, out there in the virtual grandstand, asking a very good question in terms of where is Bruno Cadili? Now, a former driver here at RaceFace.Pro, former White Rabbit gaming driver, and Jason Abschmeier's former teammate, Bruno Cadili, unfortunately not racing. It seems like he's taken a little bit of a retirement from the world of ACC here at RaceFace.Pro. Would be nice to see him return, I won't lie, but we'll have to see in due course for the future. Herman and Kerry Duplessis fight it out side by side. Duplessis try to get the pass on Herman. However, it's going to be tough. Both in the Ferraris, both not having the advantage here, and both drivers pushing the boundaries of what can they do. Herman gets a rear stepped out, and that has allowed the likes of Duplessis to get on by and take the lead of the Pro-Ams. But the question comes in. Are they going to dive into the pits, or are they going to keep going an extra lap? Herman decides he's going to go into the pits, try the undercut on Duplessis to see if that is going to help him out. However, this is where the question comes in. Jared Becum for Team Wolf has completed all these pit stops. He's got Bego Krobler tailing him at the moment and will be giving instruction of where he needs to be to focus on the drive. Is it going to be enough for Jared to get ahead of Herman and take second place by the end of this race for the Pro-Am division? I mean, this is going to be a tough run. Out there in the virtual grandstand, we've got Duncan Roderick coming in and saying, how's it? Also, one of the iRacing drivers, incredible talent, coming and joining in. It's good to see so many VIPs out there in the EG Evolved and our sponsors VIP grandstands and cheering on friends, family, and also teams racing here tonight at RaceFace.Pro for round 4 of the EG Evolved GT3 Championship. And still, it is going to be a long one. 9 minutes left in this race, and we have still got 6 drivers that need to do their pit stop. Duplessis will be needing to do his pit stop, and they'll bring him into the clutches of Jared Becum. And we keep an eye. Bauer, Krobler, Manuel, Detroit, and Platt still need to do their final pit stops to make it work out in their favor. So this is going to be an interesting fight nonetheless as they continue on the drive. Jeffrey LaRue, Reginald Mutilini joining up yet again on circuit. Now, LaRue is a pro driver. Reginald Mutilini is pro-am. The question comes into the fray. Is Reginald going to fight with LaRue to try and get past, or is he going to utilize the slipstream of Jeffrey LaRue to bring himself closer to Jared Becum, who's 4 seconds up the road? LaRue going out a bit wide. Reginald Mutilini going and shifting gears a little too low there. You can see the speed difference coming out of the corner was a lot tighter, went down the gears a little too far, and unfortunately not getting the drive he needs in that McLaren. Now into the toe, trying to push a little bit harder as they're going to see who is going to have the run here. Both McLarens going over the curbs, fighting it out. LaRue will be trying to hold on track overall position and still continues the fight for the pro. However, he is influencing the Pro-Am standings as it goes, because Reginald Mutilini needs to clear him. He needs to try and catch up to the likes of Joe Bracum, who actually has been losing a bit of ground to the likes of Jeffrey LaRue. So this might be a work in the likes of Reginald's favor to just have that little bit more run. Jean-Ray Toy goes off into the dirt, loses out a bit of time, and that, unfortunately, loses out the 5th place position to Henry Platt. The Stingers Racing not having a good time out there, still needing to do their final pit stops. However, Jean-Ray Toy now on the back foot. 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go, and still some great racing happening out on circuit. LaRue just keeping ahead of Reginald Mutilini. Gerald Pretorius and Therapeutics continue their fights a little bit further back. Behind them, Duplessis dives into pit lane. This is going to be a big move. Is Jared close enough and Reginald Mutilini close enough to get the pass done and dusted? Or are they going to be just too far away to take over the lead of the race? Duplessis still in pits. Reginald Mutilini coming on by. Jared Bracum will be next to come on across the line. And Jared takes the lead of the Pro-Am division. Reginald Mutilini will take 2nd place. He fights it out with LaRue. Hunts for the inside. Ooh, major spear on the inside. Didn't quite work out. Door to door there. Late on the anchors. And Jeffrey LaRue taking the brunt of it on the door. Saying, okay, well, that's not quite how I wanted to happen. But Reginald now needs to clear LaRue as fast as possible, because Duplessis is hunting him down. So Duplessis will be hoping to close that gap as Jared leads out. Reginald is in 2nd place, and Gerard Pretorius holds 3rd. Ernest Lindbergs gets a drive-through penalty for track limits exceeded. That is a big knock to him, and instantly into the wall as well. Not a drive he wanted to have for the 205 driver of Ernest Lindbergs, and I think that is him out of the race as well, as he towed back to pits with major damage to the car. Comes out of the corner, gets that off circuit, gets the drive through, and just pins it into the wall. Unfortunately, the car not working out in his favor there. I think frustrations reigned as he landed up smashing the car against the wall, just losing out a bit of time. Not what you want to have for the teams to be working on the car, especially if you just drive it into the wall, as we saw there. But I think that was just pure frustration from his part, wanting to just try and finish the race. However, drive-through penalty in with 4 minutes and 36 seconds to go does put him clearly out of the race. Nicholas Manuel leads out the race as Bagar Krobler in likes of 2nd, who gets himself into pit lane. Fleming Bauer will come across, gain a bit of time here. Henry Mayer as well, who will be more than happy to join up. So Nicholas trying to go that little bit further. It's going to be the latest of the stoppers, but it's going to be a short fuel to get it done. Has he got enough space to make it work out in his favor, or is he in for a world of hurt? Bauer, Mayer, and Bagar Krobler coming out of pit lane, but where is Daniel De Villiers? Too far back to contend with Bagar Krobler. 5.4 seconds back, heading nearly 7 seconds on exit. So Bagar Krobler has a good advantage and continues on the drive. Reginald Mutilini and LaRue continue to fight it out. Jared Bracum up the road, 5 seconds now. And Gerard Pretorius lying 6 seconds off the back of Reginald Mutilini. So Reginald, all he needs to do is just drive clean to the end of the line. He's got 2nd place secured at this point. He doesn't have to worry too much. A little bit further back, Ruben for the race and Herman Whitner continue the fight with one another. Herman, with that damage on the Pandacity machine, trying to catch up to our championship leader in the Pro-Ams as Ruben for the race. This is going to be his worst result out of the season for Van der Race at the moment, but he is not giving up the fight as Duplessis is 0.5 of a second ahead of him and is holding currently 4th place during the course of this race. Duplessis continues on the fight with Chris Collison, who is riding out for the Pro Division. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, and the drivers continue to put the hammer down. Fleming Bauer takes the lead of the race. Henry Mayer into 2nd. Bagar Krobler will lock in that 3rd place as he stays ahead of Daniel De Villiers. Nicholas Manuel going to be coming out of the pits very, very soon. Where does he drop down to is going to be the big question Is it going to be enough to make it a big impact with that later stop? Or did he roll the dice and unfortunately get the snake eyes on his way through? Chris Colson and Kerry Duplessis keep the pressure on one another and continue on the drive. Van der Race and Wepner right behind them as they toe the line as it stands. Nicholas Manuel comes out of pit lane ahead of Jason Farmer. So he will hold 6th place. Jason into 7th. Mordre Claassen, the second back from Jason Farmer, in 8th place. Remember, Jason Farmer has only got a old set of tires that he started on the race. Interesting fight. Henry Mayer and Bauer now nose to tail with one another. Fleming Bauer, the birthday boy himself, ahead of his own teammate of Henry Mayer, with a bit of a gamble on his stop, may have got enough. And they catching up to a very interesting fight of the McLarens up the road from them. I'm trying to see if I can get just the view of it. And that is Johan Verveers of the Trail Bullets team in the Ferrari, trying to make his way through the order. And Verveers a little bit further down, he is chasing the likes of Keegan Bowen through the corners, trying to figure out where can he get the drive on the McLaren with the Ferrari. So good to see the drivers just focusing on the drive, seeing if it's going to work. And we just heard from our pit, going and listening to our Chief Marshal, Jim, saying leader is on the final lap. And what a birthday gift this will be for Fleming Bauer if he can finish out in first place ahead of Henry Mayer. I don't think Henry's going to attack him too hard here. I think there's a little bit of a understanding, saying to the birthday boy, listen, you go out, you go have a bit of fun, you take the checkered flag here. I'm going to trail on behind you. I've got enough room in the points to work out in my favor. Jason Farmer and Mordre Claassen's fight between one another. Daniel de Villiers in 4th place, fights against Christoph Peterson in 5th, who lost out the Fear of the Bones teammate, Ernest Lindbergs, after the accident a little bit earlier on. Christoph Peterson dives towards the outside line. He's looking for the sweep across. However, the Nissan GTR just having enough headroom to get the power down, does understeer out of the corner, forcing the likes of Christoph Peterson to back off that throttle a little bit more. And Daniel de Villiers holds on to 4th place as they continue on for their final lap around the circuit. Fleming Bauer coming through. And what a birthday gift this is going to be for him, as he will be maximizing the points in the championship. He will be happy on the points and will be taking the win here at Misano to get across the line. And here it comes, Fleming Bauer across the line to take the checkered flag for round 4 of the EG Evolve GT3 Championship ahead of his teammate Henry Mayer. Bego Krobler will take 3rd place, and coming across, it is going to be late on the brakes. It's going to be an undercut. Is it going to be on the throttle? Daniel de Villiers trying to drag race against Christoph Peterson, and Daniel de Villiers holds 4th place. Christoph taking 5th. Nicholas Manuel will take 6th place, followed by Mordre Claassen, who gets the drive out of the corner. Jason Farmer in 8th place after a hard-fought fight. Jason Abschmeyer will come across in 9th position. Henry Platt will round off in the top 10. As we keep an eye, Jared Vicum going to be happy for the Team Wolf, as it will be a podium for Team Wolf this time by Jared. Will be taking 1st place. However, LaRue is dealing with Reginald Mutileni, who's 2nd in class. He fights it out. LaRue still continuing on the drive. Will be more than anything to try and get this pass done. However, he has no concern for the Pro-Ams, as Jared will be taking the win. He does come across the line with a big smile on his face. He's fought it out and finally got that podium. LaRue will come across the line ahead of Reginald Mutilini, who finishes up 2nd in the Pro-Am class. Gerard Pretorius will come across the line holding 3rd in our Pro-Ams. Herb Bukes, Chris Collison, Kerry Duplessis, Van der Race, Keegan Bowen, Verveers, Wepner, Anton Lammers, Darren Miller, along with Lucan Haynes, Ulrich de Jager come across the line. Eddie Porchita, Tiana Sporta, Ernest Lindbergs, one of our unfortunate retirements during the race. What a drive, folks, here at the beautiful track of Misano. And it's always great to see the drivers pushing that extra little bit during the course of the race, trying to get the hammer down that little bit further and to be part of the top running. And the birthday boy finishing up in first place for the Pro Division is going to be more than happy on his results, but some great racing nonetheless, right the way through. Some close action between the drivers who pushed that little bit more to get that little bit more pace and to stay at the top end of the field. Now, once again, big talk about that spring discount at EG Evolve. Best go for it. Well worth. Always start with a good base while you get your career up and going in sim racing here in South Africa. But with that being said, we're going to have a chat to our drivers who have taken the victories here at round 4 of the RaceFace.Pro, or the EG Evolve GT3 Championship powered by RaceFace.Pro. So, as we take a look back to some of the highlights, let's bring in a couple of our drivers to have a chat to us and give their thoughts on an incredible race. We're going to take a look. I don't see the likes of Gerard Pretorius to come and join us, third place of our Pro-Am division, but we do have second place. Oh, there we go. We actually do have Gerard Pretorius to come and join us. Let's bring him in. Gerard Pretorius, welcome to the commentary box and welcome to the podium. Third place on the run, consistent driving right the way through. How are you feeling after that one?
Sweating a bit. It's long, hard driving. Keeping a pace up is quite difficult with the tires going off in the last part of the stint, but I enjoyed it. I had a clean track. No major incidents, so enjoyed it.
It was a solid race start to finish. The beginning of the race looked a bit busy for you. Take us through that start, as it was a bit all over the show and you having to really find getting to grips with the drive.
First couple of corners, some accidents and dodging people around. I tried to keep it clean. I went for the undercut, went for the first pit stop or first lap pit stop. I think I came out last, if I recall. And we formed a bit of a train, but the pace was quite good. And then on the second pit stop, I had some nice clean air and just doing some hot laps as much as I could. And there was not so many overtakes, but just keeping an undercut strategy going. I enjoyed that part, so all good for my end.
Well, coming into this race, you were fourth in the championship. Rian van der Race finishing behind you, Sean Larrier and not on the grid. Going to be moving you up into championship contention. Looking at round 5, how are you feeling? A little bit more positive on the championship to be fighting out in the top 3, or just a bit more reserved?
Unfortunately, I'm going to travel in the next couple of weeks. So I'm just going to enjoy the races while I can. Fortunately, the next week is my last race, and just trying to enjoy it.
Well, it was a stellar drive, and we do wish you well on your travels. But before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations with the Griffin Sim Racing team, anything you would like to say to all the sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, to all the teams and drivers you had out on the track, and also, most importantly, I think you agree with me on this one, the fans out there in the virtual grandstands cheering on. We got like Antonio Gamble that keeps cheering on the Griffin Sim Racing team, start to finish.
Thanks for RaceFace, keeping the platform up and dealing with all our mental aids or petrol aids. So thanks for you guys every time. And thanks for everybody enjoying the race and keeping it clean. Thanks.
Absolutely wonderful words. Thank you very much, Gerard Pretorius, finishing up third place in the Pro-Am division. Stellar drive coming out from him. Kept it clean, and that's all that you need to do in the race to stay up in the fighting order. Second place, however, let's bring in Reginald Mutaleni. Reg, welcome to the commentary box, buddy. Second place on the grid. What a race at the end, fighting against the likes of Jeffrey LaRue, but you managed to hang in the fight for the championship with moving up into possibly second or first place in the championship for the Pro-Am. How are you feeling after that one?
Serious? First place? That would be crazy. Oh, dude. Look, Stephen, wow, that was an amazing race. Initially, I was like, next position would be P3 when I pitted, but I don't know what happened out there in the field. I might have gotten like a really good, clear air on my 2 pits, but it was amazing. I was like, oh, wait, hang on, we're chasing P1, and then LaRue just had to be in the way.
I'll admit it, you had tons of fun with that one.
I was catching Gerard. I was catching him. I was like, yes, 4 seconds, push, push. And then LaRue came out. I'm like, no, please don't.
Now,
But
we
yeah, it
saw
was
the
amazing.
earlier
It was
fights.
amazing.
We saw the earlier fight with you and the likes of Duplessis. A little bit of elbow to elbow with one another, but this is what you come to expect with GT racing, especially around a very tight and difficult circuit. Did you feel the McLaren was a little bit of a loss through the corners, or was it working pretty well for you?
For me, it was amazing. There was plenty of rotation, which is what I really love. Is a lot of oversteer in general. Yeah, so with Duplessis, yeah, that was an epic fight. You know, we had a really good one until he, let's say he gave me a bit of a squeeze. Then I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. Maybe done it by mistake. And then when we got heated up again, I gave him a bit of a squeeze. But yeah, no, that was an amazing race. GG's to him. Look, I could see that I had a bit of more pace than he did, but he done flipping well to defend. Every move that I made, he was just countering it most of the time. So yeah, no, well done to him. He done an amazing job at keeping me behind.
Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebration, second here at round 4 out at Misano. And anything you want to say to all the teams and drivers out there that you got to have a race with, getting to have a bit of fun, to all the sponsors as well being part of RaceFace.Pro, the admins and such. But most importantly, I think you agree with me, out there in the virtual grandstands, watching your POV from your live stream out on YouTube. So do take a look at Reginald's live stream. You can find it out here at the RaceFace.Pro Discord. But also to those sitting in the grandstands cheering you on tonight.
Yeah, I know. For those who are on the grandstands, I had one of the guys from my chat. They're like, "Oh, they're talking about you again on the stream on RaceFace.Pro." I'm like, "Yes, it's entertainment business. That's what we do. It's a lot of fun." For those of you supporting on the grandstands, you guys are an amazing crowd. Love having you guys there. And for the racers out there and the other teams, I mean, look, they're putting in a lot of effort, and it really shows. The racing has taken a complete change, to be honest with you, this season. I know I was like off for 1 or 2 seasons, but it's for me, it feels completely different. So yeah, you guys keep pushing and doing an amazing job. And then for our awesome sponsors, thank you very much. All of this awesome things that are happening here at RaceFace Pro would not be really happening without you guys. So yeah, we really do appreciate it. And then for obviously our admins, our administrators, the guys with the suitcases, thank you very much for all the hard work in the back end. Not everybody notices how much work that goes behind organizing a league like this. So yeah, I know how it feels like. I know the pressure and stress of general life and having to do this. But yeah, well done, and thanks for all the hard work from you guys.
Thank you very much, Reginald Muttolini. And it looks like you're going to be fighting for first in the Pro-Am come round 5. So best get yourself ready for some Zandvoort racing action.
I guess I have to start practicing.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit,
hey.
Reginald Muttolini joining us in getting second place in the Pro-Am division. Now, first place, and for the very first time, joining us here, Jared Baykoum, all the way out from Team Wolf. Jared, welcome to the commentary box. Finally getting that first place you've been hunting all season long for. How do you feel that you now made it to the top? Round 1, you got first. You do not start in round 2. Round 3 was a 13th. But round 4, a clean sweep for the Team Wolf to get out in that first place spot for the Pro-Am.
Oh, Stephen, it is so good to talk to you. There seems to be some curse here. I only do well when you're not commentating. So I'm so happy that curse has been broken and I can finally have a chat with you.
Well, it's wonderful to have a chat with you. And honestly, great driving from your part. What was the strategy to try and get the undercut on the rest of the field? I mean, it was a long, hard push for you, and then you decide to go a little bit earlier on the pit stops to get ahead. That's a proper gamble on the dice. Was there a bit of feedback coming in from the team trying to give you an idea of what the circuit's looking like?
No, it's just mainly practice, and picked up in practice that it's hot, and that rear left especially starts cooking. So I think fastest way around was to just nurse that tire. And lap 1, we were fighting so hard in a big gaggle of cars. I was like, you know what? Let's get some space, drive nice and smooth, let the tires last, and hope the pace will come towards the end of the stints. And apparently it worked.
Well, it was a stellar drive, and you really did well to put yourself in first place for the Pro-Am division. Before I let you have the floor, anything you would like to say to the likes of our sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, to the teams and drivers that were out there on the circuit, and most importantly, the fans out there in the virtual grandstands? We did have a couple of people supporting the Team Wolf drivers, like Derek Bekum, saying well done, and also cheering you on. Anything you would like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I think first, hi Dad, thanks for watching. But then also, a big thanks to Batis and the team for putting this all together. I mean, only reason we can race is because of the work that they do, and then also to the sponsors who make it possible and give us some really awesome prizes to compete for. Big thank you to everyone there. And then, to the fans, I just got to say, come join us. I mean, it wasn't even a year ago that I was watching and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take part. I bought myself a Logitech wheel secondhand, and I started racing. And that was, like 10 months ago. So, if you're watching now and on the fence about it, just do it. Get yourself don't even get a wheel. Just join the Discord. We've got a channel here. We'll find you a wheel. And come race with us. You'll find somebody your pace to race with, and as you improve, you'll race against more people, and it is a lot of fun. So if you're on the fence about it, just do it.
Absolutely. Pull the trigger, come and have some fun, and see if you can take on the Team Wolf driver of Jared. Jared, thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and congratulations on your first place here at round 4 at Misano for the RaceFace.Pro EG Evolve GT3 Championship.
Thank you, Stephen. Cheers, everybody.
Jared coming in and giving a bit of words of wisdom there. 10 months ago was watching, and now taking 2 wins during the course of the season. Let's have a chat to our drivers who had a stellar run in the pros. We're going to be bringing in third place Bego Krobler to come and have a chat to us. Bego, welcome to the commentary box. And what a race. Getting onto the podium, you've had your fellow Team Wolf teammate of Jared getting a first place, but you locking in a third place with a little bit of a later stop. What was the plan going into the race to make sure that you lock in for the podium?
How's it, Stephen? Yeah, no plan really. I wasn't expecting to be that high up, to be honest. I felt like I was struggling with the car a bit during practice, and even in quali, struggled to get a lap done. And the lap I did do, I didn't expect that to put me in P4. So, a bit unexpected, but happily take it.
And I want to touch on something because we saw it happening with a couple of drivers. You are racing in 2 different sims in 2 vastly different cars in GT3s. This time out, you're fighting out in the Ferrari, but last night, you're in the Le Mans Ultimate Championship in a Mercedes. How do you compare and get yourself ready for that transition from a nose-heavy car to a rear-engine Ferrari on vastly different circuits? One at Qatar last night, and this time here in Italy for Misano.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it can be a bit frustrating at times. But having done ACC now for years, I think I sort of rely on the experience that I do have with ACC when it comes to that. And I have driven the Ferrari previously, so I think I did a season in it before. So at the moment, most of the time goes into preparing for LMU. But I think once you sort of understand what the differences are in the 2 sims and what it takes in each to be fast, then you just need to sort of reset the mind when you jump in between the 2, and then just reset, refocus, and fall back on the muscle memory sort of thing. But it can definitely be a bit frustrating at times.
Oh, absolutely great stuff to see you out there and getting yourself third place. Are you feeling a little bit more confident for the championship? Going to be jumping ahead of Jason Farmer, a little bit closer to Daniel De Villiers, who runs currently third in the championship. Are you feeling like there is a chance to get into the top three by the end of the season?
We'll see how it goes. I think Zandvoort and Donington we still need to do, and those are two of my better tracks or best tracks. So we'll see how the results look there. But it's going to be tough. Fleming and Henry are very, very quick. Henry has won every race except tonight, although I think he probably gave Fleming the position for championship points, which makes sense. So it's going to be really tough. I think Fleming's only down a bit because he had that DNF at Laguna Seca, I think. So, it's two of them, and then Daniel De Villiers has been going really well in the Nissan, so he's going to be hard to beat. And then obviously Christoph Peterson, who's always podium contender. So it's going to be very tough, but we won't stop trying.
Absolutely great stuff. Before I let you go and enjoy the celebrations, anything you want to say to all the sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, to the admins, the teams, the drivers, and most importantly, the absolute amazing petrol heads out on the virtual grandstand here tonight?
Yeah, just obviously huge shout out to the organizers, the admins, to you guys that do the commentary and all the work for the stream. Thank you so much for that, for giving us this platform, and then to everybody that shows up every week to race and makes this hobby of ours fun. Thank you guys so much for sharing the track, and to the sponsors, big thank you. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that putting on a stream and a show and hosting servers and stuff, it costs a bit of money, and all the support that we get from the sponsors is really it's invaluable. It's worth more than the money. So thank you to those guys, and to everybody that tune in and watch the streams and give us the opportunity to go and get those sponsors, and it's just mega thank you to them as well. Keep tuning in, and we hope to keep entertaining.
Oh, absolutely wonderful stuff. Beggar Krobler, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your third place. Well fought all the way through.
Thanks, guys.
Well, absolutely stunning stuff being said. We're going to bring in our second place, the first time he's gotten second here, and during the course of the season, Henry Mayer to come and have a chat to us. Henry, welcome to the commentary box. Not a first place this time round, but a second place. But you still got the fastest lap of the race. How was it out there for you?
It was hot actually. Like everywhere it's hot. On track it's hot, in the house it's hot. Everywhere it's hot at this point.
Well, long as it's hot and not the winter weather, like we'll take it any day. The start of the race looked a little bit busy for you, trying to pull away from Fleming Bauer. Take us through the race. I mean, you started opening up the gap, but you took an earlier pit stop than your teammates. What was the strategy there that made that off-kilter chance to have Fleming Bauer getting ahead of you?
I just wanted to see where we were in comparison to the guys who already pitted. So I mostly did it for the info in the race. But yeah, congrats to Fleming. He drove a really good race tonight. He deserved the win.
Absolutely great stuff. And it was very interesting to see her come through. Now, I'm sure there has been a lot of celebrations going on in the background for the birthday boy himself. But for the championship, what's the next plan? Zandvoort, a very difficult circuit, and is going to be challenging for the McLarens to keep those tires alive. Any strategy calls that you can let us know, or is it going to be rather hush-hush in the Pandacity pit, and we'll only be able to see next week?
No, I think we'll just stick to the plan, try and be the fastest on track. With the tires, we'll deal with it as it comes.
Well,
it's not a big headache.
Well, it's good to see the excitement out there, the Pandacity team getting cheered on out in the virtual grandstands. Before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations, anything you'd like to say to all the sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, to the likes of our spectators, admins, drivers, and teams joining us here tonight?
Yeah, just a massive thanks to everyone for making it possible. All the sponsors, e.g. Everyone, the admins doing all the hard work when everyone's practicing or playing around or working. And thanks to you, Stephen, for the great show you put on.
Always great to have a chat to you, Henry, and congratulations on that second place. Looking forward to seeing you fighting out for the top spot. I think Fleming Bowers had the taste of the cherry that first place, and I think you're in for a little bit of hard work for the championship.
Yeah, you must bring it on. I'm waiting for him. I've been waiting for 3 years now for him to bring it, so...
Well,
He must wake up.
Tonight may have been the night. Henry Mayer taking second place in the Pro Division. Congratulations.
Thank you, Steven.
The Pandassi team are going to be quite happy about that one. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sing it with me as we bring in Fleming Bauer to come and have a chat to us. First place in the Pro, and happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Fleming Bauer. Happy birthday to you. Hip, hip, hooray! Who's faster than Henry? You are! How are you feeling after that one?
Good, thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it, man.
Well,
What a
Fleming,
day. What a day.
I mean, what a day. Birthday for one to deal with, and beating out your teammate, taking a later pit stop than Henry Mayer. How was it out there on the track for you?
It was actually great on track. I have to say, everyone on track was respectful. If there was a back marker for whatever reason, it was great. I mean, it was just a good race on my end. We didn't have any incidents involving anyone, so I feel that was an awesome race for me.
Well, it was clean passing on the way through. Traffic seemed to be a bit of a difficult one to go. Quite a few battles that you had to navigate. How was it out there contending with the blue flags and also contending with trying to keep a good overall pace, knowing the likes of De Villiers, Bago Grobler, Nicholas Manuel, Henry Mayer, all chasing you down for that top spot?
No, I have to say the strategy, well, me and Henry spoke in Discord. He went for the earlier pit stop to see how far the guys that did finish their pits were behind us, just to have a better indication of what the times are doing. And as we just kept the deltas in order and checked through, I try to keep it out as long as possible. For the backmarker side, honestly, it was a great race. I can't say anyone really made a big impact on the race on that side. They all went deep when you needed to go inside. No, it was a very, very good race. Like I said, the guys on track were amazing tonight.
Absolutely incredible stuff, and a stellar drive on your part. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations for not only just winning round 4 of the EG Evolved GT3 Championship powered by RaceFace.Pro, but also having celebrations for your birthday. Once again, happy birthday. Glad to see that you're 21 again. But anything you'd like to have a say to all our amazing sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, to the drivers and teams out there, and most importantly, the petrol heads out on the grandstands joining us here tonight.
No, definitely, guys. Again, Stephen, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Being here, enjoying it, RaceFace. It's an awesome event, as always. It's been on for, I mean, we season, what's it now, 23?
23, yeah.
It's been there for a while, and we're enjoying it so much. Again, anyone that's not driving and watching this, I know it's difficult, but get a wheel, come and join us. It's awesome out there. And to my team, thank you very much, Panda. We enjoyed being there. To Henry, thank you. No, it's an awesome place to be. I mean, after this, I'm sitting with my wife. We're going to have a drink or so on. And yeah, it was just awesome.
Well, absolutely well done, and go and enjoy the drinks. Go and enjoy having a chocolate cake. Once again, happy birthday, and looking forward to seeing what you can do next week at Zandvoort.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Cheers.
Fleming Bauer coming and having a chat to us and giving a bit of a thought process. Well, that being said, we have one more special guest to join us, and it's our 4th place driver fighting for 3rd in the championship for our pro. We're going to bring in Daniel De Villiers of PWSR to come and have a chat. Daniel, welcome to the commentary box. Bit of a special guest joining us. How do you feel after that race? You were in some hard, close racing for a fair amount of time out there, and getting ahead of Christoph Peterson across the line, 0.2 of a second. I mean, that is incredibly close to hold on to 4th place.
Yeah, it was intense at the end. I was battling hard just to save the tires and get to the end, and the back marker at the last lap was so close of ruining it. But yeah, I've kept my cool and nailed it at the end.
Well, absolutely nailed it to the end. The Nissan GTR, a car that is slept on. How was it out there with a very hot track? 30 degrees track temperatures to start off, eventually tapered to 27, but that's after majority of the pit stops have been done and dusted.
It wasn't too bad. The first thing was quite good, being behind Baker the whole time and trying to catch him and get past him. And then I thought of the undercut a bit, to undercut Baker, and yeah, it didn't work. At the second stint, the tires just went off quicker from me pushing too hard trying to catch Baker.
Well, it was still a good drive on your part, and once again, congratulations. Looking at next week, trying to fight out for the championship, feeling positive, or are you a little bit more nervous with the car?
No, I'm feeling positive. I haven't driven on Zandvoort with this Nissan yet, or any setup yet, so I'm patient enough to see what's going to happen, if it's raining or not or anything. So, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, still absolutely great stuff. Before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations and finish up in that beautiful 4th place after a hard-fought fight, anything you want to say to the sponsors, the admins, to the teams, the drivers out there, and most importantly, the fans joining in from the background? And just heads up, the pit boss is around. Alan's lurking around, so don't say anything funny. Oh, the silence pretty much tells the story.
No, not funny enough. No, I'm just playing. No, I just want to say thank you to the organizers and the sponsors and everyone participating, and to you, Stephen, and to the boss man, Alan, to my teammate, Darren. He had a very good first stint and everything, and it just went to grit on his second stint. But yeah, there is positives in it, and yeah, and looking forward to the next, and thank you for everyone.
Absolutely great stuff. Daniel de Villiers taking 4th place in the
sorry,
Pro.
Stephen, one more.
Yes.
One more. And happy birthday to Fleming. Well done on his victory.
There we go. I hope you sang him happy birthday while you were waiting in the waiting room.
Oh, we gave him some little bit of trouble here on the waiting room, but yeah.
Good. Long as you gave him that little bit of gears. But Daniel, go and enjoy the celebrations. Well done yet again on a stellar result with the Nissan GTR.
Thank you, Steve.
So, Daniel de Villiers coming in 4th place for the PWSR team. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been an incredible race. Round 4 behind us. We are going to leave Italy, and we aim to be at Zandvoort. So, next week, we're in for a whole lot of fun, and we're in for some exciting racing. Next week, Tuesday, iRacing, we're going to be having some fun racing between the FIA F4 and the Lotus 79 out on Tuesday. You can join up with the fun series out on SimGrid at RaceFace.Pro. Go and take a look at us there. Also, just follow the link down in the description. If you want to be a part of the conversation here on our Discord, please follow the link. Come and join and be a part of all our variety of championships from ACC, Le Mans Ultimate, and iRacing to be on the grid, enjoying and fighting out for your spot in the championship, for the trophies, and for a ticket into that raffle for the 16,000 Rand rig, sponsored by Simulator Cave. But a massive shout out to all our sponsors joining in with us. Our title sponsor, EG Evolved. And once again, they have that magnificent special coming on till the 30th of September. Do not miss it. Go and use the discount code SPRING10 to get 10% off EGR Sim Rigs. Aluminium extrusion, you need a good solid base to get the best out of your equipment. No matter what you got, start with the best and is easier on the pocket. EG Evolved has got you covered from flight sim all the way to racing sims. We've got you covered, bringing in next generation South African made sim rigs and going and getting you some of the best equipment and prices to find around in South Africa. Big thank you to all our sponsors like Simulator Cave being on the show with us, Team SBR, along with Virtual Motorheads and Rhino Utility, keeping us going forward and forward. But we're looking forward to the racing coming up next week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. Let us know what was your favorite part of the race. And also down in the comments, leave a happy birthday for Fleming Bauer and whoever's birthday it is today. We love to go and see it. Keep an eye on our social media out on Twitter and Facebook. There's plenty news still yet to come out. And we will be putting the show of those brand spanking new trophies for the very first time here at RaceFace.Pro. We're going to do those type of trophies. This is actually the second time we actually had trophies here at RaceFace. First one going back into the iRacing a little bit of time ago. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week with all the action coming up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and join us on SimGrid. Join us out on our socials. We'll see you out on Discord. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from myself, Stephen Koenig, from Tim Al Marshall, and our Jim Al Marshall, Tim our cameraman. Get always these times again wrong. Sorry, guys. You can see they're giving me a bit of a scowling look at the moment. But we'll see you next time, right here at RaceFace.Pro for the EG Evolve GT3 Championship. And like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.